The song changes, but remains the same. Welcome to the Superior Adventures Guild stream of the Shadesong Saga. I'm Bleakseason, your GM, and this is Saga 8, Blackbird's Cry. You can catch up on all the other sagas that came before, as well as uncover lore and more information about exactly what Shadesong is, by visiting my online journal at bleakseason.com. The saga that begins tonight and will last 3 sessions takes place in Rukn, the land of the Orkin, a militaristic and mercantile nation whose capital, Trust, is often seen as the trade capital of the world. Over 100 years ago, Rukn was torn apart by civil war between the various clans. It was Ute the Black who united most of them, and in time turned what was once a fractious and violent land into a beacon of trade, buttressed by the powerful, disciplined military might in the form of the 5 ancestral companies of her people. Today, people from far and wide come to Trust to trade, and where the Orkin used to exchange blows, they now trade in coins and goods. Our players tonight take on the roles of a group of Orkin, who are the inner circle of Master Merchant Aelvegostara, who has come to them in the middle of the night and told them to pack their bags for a short trip. This comes on the heels of her brother Jurgen's return from a mission in the east and the strange things he encountered there. Before we go on, let us go and meet our group of Orkins, our players for tonight. Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going well.
Yeah, all right. Freaked out already. We actually don't know who that dude in the red sweater is. He just appeared on the stream, and we can't cut him out. It's just really freaking me out. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm getting freaked out. No, you're good. All right, fine then. Don't be freaked out.
Hope you guys a little bit, but it's okay.
I like it.
Sorry, what?
I like it.
You like it. You're a weird one, Chad. All right. Super glad you.
This is known.
It's gonna be one of those nights. Glad you could join us, guys. Most of you, all of you, it's your first time playing in Shadesong, so that's always very interesting, very exciting to see some new faces, some new people sort of trying this on for size. I'd like to go around the table now, and if you would introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, if you want to plug anything you want to tell us about you, and if you remember it by the time it gets to your turn, tell us a little bit about the character you'll be playing with us here tonight. We'll start with we'll start with Miko over there.
Hi, I'm Miko. Hey. You can find me online at the various socials at the_OKS_GM. I am a producer here on the Superior Adventures Guild channel, and am happy to be a part of Shadesong finally. It's been a long time coming. Unfortunately, schedules have prevented me from coming on before now, but I'm very happy that I get to participate today. Yes, I will be playing a seer of the spirits that goes by the name of Avend, and I will be haunting all of your dreams for the years to come.
Pretty much. So much for sleep. But you know, who needs that anyways? Thanks, Miko. Really, really happy that we can finally get you in one of these. You've produced them, you've watched other players play them, and super happy to have you here. How about we then go to Chad, the man in the armor.
Hey everybody, Chad here, Vampwickman on Twitch socials. I enjoy playing games on this channel. I've been in quite a few. I was thinking to myself today, I was like, you know, Dave tries to kill me in almost every quest and has accomplished that many times. I was thinking, I haven't died in one of these quests, but then I remembered I had a rifle shoved into my gut the last game I played, so maybe I'm not as lucky as I think, and my fate is just to die on stream. And you know what? I'm here for that. So excited to be here, excited to play. Looking forward to this little 3-part adventure, and let's have some fun with that. I will be playing a cleric named Aunulf. I'm a cleric of the light domain. If I can't fix something with my mace, I'm gonna try to burn it, and try to, you know, bring justice and, you know, play my lawful self. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm kind of staring down at Jurgen and shaking my head.
Little troublemaker.
Yeah.
So, Chad, we could almost say you're the Sean Bean of streaming. You even look like it. No, you don't. But that's okay. You're handsomer by far. And now we have a pair of Aarons rounding out the roster here tonight. Let's start with the Aaron whose name is shorter than the other one. Hey, Aaron, what's up?
Hey, glad to be here. My name's Aaron. Glad to be a part of this stream. I recently participated in Monday Night Mayhem, and I just needed to continue RPing for the rest of the week. So glad to be here. I've enjoyed playing tabletop RPGs for quite some time, bit of a hobbyist. So any chance I get to kind of scratch that itch is always a pleasure. I'm going to be playing Jurgen tonight. He was present in one of the previous episodes of this saga, so I hope I do him justice from the previous player, if not better. He is a rogue thief. He's been in apparently a lot of trouble, and we'll see if that's caused him to be even more edgier than what he already is.
Edgelord. Thank you very much, and especially thank you, Aaron, for jumping in at the last minute to fill a spot that was last minute vacated. So I really, really appreciate you stepping in and stepping up, and I'm glad to have you on here, and we'll try to make your stay here as painless as possible. And just for the record, the person who played Jurgen on the prior occasion was my best friend, so just
no pressure.
That bar, it's up there. But I'm sure you'll be fine. You come highly recommended. All right, and then the Aaron with the longer version of the name. Hey, Aaron, what's up?
Hey. Name's Aaron Cruz. You can find me on Instagram at Complete Diagram Studios. I make a bunch of nerdy dice boxes and bunch of fun stuff like that. Go on there, and they're all custom homemade and stuff like that. A lot of fun. Long time, one of those forever DM sort of deals, and finally glad I'm able to get on here with you guys, and been watching streams here and there when I can, and finally glad I was able to jump on. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be playing Adelhard. He's mechanically, he's an Eldritch Knight, technically. But it's a fun little thing that me and Bleakseason kind of worked out for his character. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. He's imagine that sort of old grizzled army sergeant sort of look, the old army guy, just kind of like this sort of thing. So really looking forward to getting a chance to try him out.
Awesome. Cool. Glad to have you. We always welcome the beards here on this channel, and the other Aaron has a lot of work to do to catch up. We'll give Miko a break because he put in so much effort in his cosplay. But
the only thing that outfit's missing is the beard.
It's true. Maybe.
Hey, I had a beard half an hour ago. It somehow mysteriously disappeared.
He shaved it off for us. That's the level of his dedication. All right, guys, super happy to have you all. Thank you so much for coming here. We'll dive into this momentarily. Just a couple other things before we begin. As I mentioned, I'm Bleakseason. You can find me at the Bleakseason on Twitter. I'm here every second Sunday where I GM a brand new Blade Runner campaign. And on Tuesday nights where I play in Dungeon Dave's Heroes of Greyhawk campaign. We started last night. It was a lot of fun. Actually, I guess by the time you watch this, it'll be a week ago, but who's counting? Before we move on, I would like to extend a few more thanks and some shout outs to the people that help make these games happen. First off, shout out my friend Lewis at Phoenix Designs for the amazing Shadesong logo. I would also like to thank Dungeon Dave for inviting me to bring Shadesong to the Guild Superior. Andy for handling our production here tonight, my partner in crime on this one. Also, general thanks to Miko and Ashley, also the other members of the production team here, for all the hard work that goes into keeping this place running and everything happening. Thanks to Tabletop Audio for the music, and to Inkarnate for allowing us to make such awesome maps. And finally, Hero Forge for all the little bonums that you're going to see throughout the night. And last and always, shout out to the immortal Gum Porsley, our mascot here at the Superior Adventures Guild. Very special thank you to all the members of the Superior Adventures Guild, all the cool peeps in our Discord playing our games, including our awesome players here tonight. If you would like to join us, please drop by our Discord, reach out to us on Twitter. If you're new to the hobby of streaming or you're looking to get your first shot in an actual play, we have tons of opportunities for people to join the table, whether you're a player or a GM. We have room for you somewhere in here. It can be hard to break into this thing. To reach out to us, we'll be happy to help you get into this. And we have room around the table for everyone. So let's get back into this now and kick off this session 1 of Shadesong Saga number 8, Blackbird's Cry. You guys ready? You guys ready to rock and roll? All right. So if you look at our lovely map, well, I say lovely and I made it myself, so it's, you know, it's a little bit disingenuous on me, but our map here, this is the world of Eld, where the Shadesong takes place. We're heading to Rukin, which is just up here in this area, kind of in the center of it, the crossroads of the worlds, so to speak. We have here a little closer look. So I'm not really good at making these maps, just sort of deal with them. The capital of the Rukin homeland is here in Trust, and we are heading towards to Strekkin's estate, but as opposed to what the map shows us, it's actually the onset of winter. So the players are heading over to Strekkin's estate, which is a few days' ride away from the city. And as they arrive, this is what you will see at Arathon Keep, which is the home of Marshal Strecker. The sun is barely cresting the mountains to the east, turning the crags whose shadows you've lived in your whole life into bloody daggers. It's bitter cold here at the onset of winter, the wind howling through the crags like 1,000 doomed souls in the wake of a savage reaping. Your horses crest a final hill, and ahead of you is the twisted pathway that climbs up through a dense forest of spiny, twisted shrub, snow-covered, all the way to Arathon Keep, the estate of Marshal Strecker. Elvega Stara, the master merchant, and your boss, looks grim as she watches the ancient walls of the keep hove into view. Her brother, Jürgen, kicks his horse up to ride alongside hers. "What's with the long face?" he asks, but she doesn't answer. The rest of the climb up is done in silence, each of you absorbed in your own thoughts. Perhaps it is the cruel, savage beauty of the land that captures your attention. The red rock and black soil, the white snow, the sharp and wicked-looking trees and bushes, or the glittering of the near frost on the ground. Rukin, land of the Orkans, appears as always as a rough, unfinished masterwork, as if the artist whose hand was crafting it was called away on some errand and never returned to put the finishing touches, smooth out the edges, fill in some color. But you all are Orkan, and this is your home. Most of you the only one you have known, and while the wilds of Rukin cannot match the orderly, severe monolithic magnificence of the capital Trust, it remains a land that is as much part of you as your flesh, your bones, your blood. Jürgen did ask the question that is on all your minds. Why such a sour, dire look on Aelvig's face? To be told at midnight to be prepared to write hours before dawn is one thing. You all owe your loyalty to Aelvig for various reasons, and the merchant is neither frivolous nor unreasonable in her demands of you. But normally she explains herself, gives clear, detailed information about whatever situation is at hand. This time, not so much. Her words to you at midnight, the last she has spoken, still echo in your minds. We ride before dawn, speak to no one, bring only the bare essentials and your weapons. Death prowls the crags. The soldiers on the wall wave, and the wide reinforced double doors are open to allow you into the courtyard, and then close again behind you with a resounding sound of metal on metal, the sound of 100 swords striking 100 shields. None too early either. The wind has been picking up and now howls with fierce vengeance among the crags and trees surrounding the keep. The snow that fell in lazy, dancing motes now comes on strong and thick, a storm on the horizon. "Hail-egg!" yells Marshal Strecker as he appears from the keep. "You arrived just in time. Come, let me introduce you to the living flame." As you guide your horses into the courtyard of the keep, you see a number of soldiers around the area, the walls being manned, a couple other soldiers in the courtyard. A young Orcan boy comes running up to you and gathers the reins of your various horses as you dismount. There to meet you in the courtyard is, as I said, Marshal Strecker, who's the general of the Orcan armies out here, and along with him, you see a younger woman with bearing a family resemblance to the marshal. She seems to be in charge of the household troops, giving orders and telling people to lock that door and to keep keeping an eye, et cetera, et cetera. And Elvig dismounts and says, "It's good to see you again, Marshal. As always, sorry that it's under such, well, I don't want to say dire and oversell it, but, you know, things are seem always a little strange when we meet." "Yeah, you got it right. By the hells, is that your brother I see on that horse there? Is he out of jail? Come on down from that horse, Jurgen. Last time I saw you, you were what, 3 foot tall?"
Yeah, I've got a few more feet on me now, you could say, and jail treats me lovely.
"Well, I'm glad you enjoy it, because from what I hear, you spend a lot of time in there."
Well, you know, I guess I have a cot to go back to if things find another dire, souring mission again.
Yeah,
But I'm hopeful.
Your sister's going to get tired of you at some point, and she's just going to kick you to the curb. You know that, right?
My sister loves me.
Mm-hmm. You have convinced her. Roger. Aylard, you old horse thief, you old so-and-so. Put that metal hand in this one. He reaches out.
Excuse me. Adelhard hops down off his horse, walks over, and for the first time probably since the trip, the smallest of smile kind of goes across his face, because he had his game face on. He was looking around. He goes, "Marshal, it's been a long time." Grips his hand and probably squeezes just a little too hard with his big arcane mechanical hand. "Been a long time, sir. Been a long time."
It has. Does that thing ever freeze in the winter?
Not too bad. It's the knee, on the other hand. He kind of kicks out his leg, and you can see that his leg as well is this sort of like arcane sort of mechanical thing. The knee likes to freeze up a lot, but I just kind of give it a good smack, and he reaches down and smacks the knee, and some ice crystals kind of fall off it, and he goes, "I just give it a good smack, and it seems to work fine after that."
I'm just glad you haven't lost another one since I last saw you. You're turning into more tool than man.
Well, we all got to do what we got to do.
Ain't that right? I mean, I still got the original parts, and they're a bit of hell on me in the cold mornings also. So I feel you right there. It's good to see you. We'll get you inside, and we'll get you some hot to drink and some oil for that knee there.
Sounds good. And then Adelhard kind of turns away from the marshal and kind of turns back, and she's just kind of looking out away from the keep, kind of towards the woods and everything like that, just kind of keeping an eye out.
Aside from the storm that's coming in, things look pretty quiet right now. You do hear the cry of several blackbirds who are trying right now to seek shelter from the storm and landing in the trees or landing under the eaves of the various buildings in the courtyard. There's quite a number of them, but that's normal for this time of year. So, you're not worried by any of this. The marshal will turn to Elvig and go, "Where are the other two? I don't think I've ever met them." And Elvig says, "Two more of my close associates, Marshal Strecker, allow me to introduce to you Aunulf." What do we see, Aunulf?
I jump off the horse, kind of bow a little bit and say, these are strange times and, strange orders at midnight, but my soldiering background, this is fairly normal, and whatever I need to do to, to serve Elwig, I'm happy to do it. So it's just another day. Whatever I can help, however I can heal, whatever it takes. Hopefully it's not too dangerous, but it is. I'm here for it. You have my word.
No danger out here, son. We got some solid walls that have stood here for longer than some of the crags have, and perhaps even longer than Adelard and myself have. So you can rest easy here tonight. It's good to meet you.
Appreciate that.
And what's wrong with that one? Is he okay? Does he need medical attention? This is a very special advisor of mine, Avent. You would do well, Marshal, to speak softly around him, for he sees many things, and sometimes secrets are difficult to keep from him. Avent, this is Marshal Strecker.
Good evening, good sir.
Well, he's a talkative one, isn't he? That's great. I love it when they keep quiet. Allow me to introduce my daughter to you, Aethelflaed, and the other Orgos there, the captain of the house guard. Sort of Osius, he says, one day all of this will be hers. And if that's not a poison gift, I don't know what is. Anyways, let's get on with it. There's some people inside you need to meet, Elvig. I think perhaps your men might stay out here. They can find some shelter in that cabin over there. I'll have food and drink brought for them, but I think perhaps you and I should speak together first. And Elvig says, I'll go with you for sure, but my brother should come with us. He's seen things and knows things that pertain to this particular situation. Is that all right? Just tell him to leave the silver where it is. We don't have enough of that, enough to go around as it is. All right, get your asses in gear. Let's go. Aethelflaed, do you want to see to these gentlemen? Sure, Father. And as Marshal Strecker and Elvig and Jürgen head
as they are departing,
yes.
As they are departing, Avend takes a step forward, standing just behind Elwig, has his trademark spirit deck in his hand, and just casually draws one off the top. And he looks at her very, very somberly for a moment. And he says,
beware the shepherd. Someone that bears too much of a burden on their own. Burden might need to be shared.
Before just quietly stepping back.
Oh, I'm very sorry, but you said this to Elvig?
Yes.
Okay.
Not quiet enough that only she could hear. I'm sure others could hear as well. Okay. Avend is not the type to speak in hushed tones to where he's hiding what he's saying. He generally speaks very openly around anyone.
So I'll take that to heart. I'll see what's inside that the marshal wanted me to see so urgently, and you can rest assured that I'll be calling you in on this as soon as we establish exactly what the situation. For now, my friends, please accept the hospitality of the marshal. Drink, eat, make yourselves warm, and enjoy the largesse of the Arkan military for once. There ain't much largesse here, I'll tell you that much. Barely scraping by, but we can make a good stew. All right, let's get this show on the road. It's getting late. And they turn and go inside the house, and Aethelflaed will come to the three of you and go, if you'll follow me, we'll get you sorted out.
Absolutely. lead the way.
And so she'll guide you to a sort of little barracks room that's inside the courtyard there on the side. You can keep an eye on the courtyard. You can see the stable boy is taking good care of your horses, and they will bring you, there's a couple other soldiers in here sort of, taking their own meals and whatnot. It's about breakfast time at this hour. It'll be like 8ish in the morning sort of thing. And they will bring you hot food, and there's a nice fire in the fireplace, and they'll bring you, hot beverages or ale if you want it. And we will, for now, go back inside the house, where you enter the house with Aelvig and Marshal Strecker, Jürgen. And no surprises here. It's a soldier's home. It's absolutely just, everything's sort of where it should be. It's just very efficient. It's not, necessarily well furnished in decorations or any of that thing. There's certainly not that kind of touch that's going on here. But as you walk in, and a couple of dogs sort of move out of the way, near the fireplace, and Strecker brings you up to this giant hearth that's in his sort of main room, and you can start warming yourself. He'll be like, don't steal the fire neither. Don't go anywhere. Stay here. Got my eye on you. And he'll take your sister aside, and they'll talk a little bit, and then Strecker will leave, and Aelvig will come back to you, and she's like, are you holding up? You okay? You need anything?
Enjoying freedom, one would say. Much appreciated, sis. What's his deal?
He contacted me looking for information about something that a matter that had been brought to his attention, and it connects to the news that you brought back from Segovia a couple of months ago. That artifact that you and the other adventurers you met had hunted down, the purest vessel, was it?
Yeah, the one we didn't bring back.
Well, that's okay. This is what this is about. I know we haven't talked a lot about your experiences in Segovia, and I know they were, perhaps eye-opening, or they certainly revealed things to me that I didn't know existed in this world. But ever since you brought me that information, I've been collecting information about these different things that you uncovered in Segovia. And I've been reaching out to other contacts, other people who know certain things, and there seems to be some sort of conspiracy afoot, some sort of movement, some powers being marshaled throughout the land. Remember when I went to get you in jail? The last time I went to get you in jail.
Yeah.
And I asked if you were ready to step up and perhaps try to do the right thing for once and be more than just, a scoundrel, I guess. I'm going to ask you that question now again, because I think the things that are happening are fairly dire, and I intend to take an active part in opposing them. And if you would, I would certainly like you to be with me on this. But that being said, if you think that perhaps this is a little too much of a calling for you right now, I'll understand that too, but I'd rather know now than when it's too late.
Well, sis, they say family's always got your back, and you definitely have pulled me out of a couple of situations that I probably don't want to have happen ever again, so I'll help you. I just hope that this time is not going to be as horrific as the last mission you sent me on. I'd rather not relive some traumatic moments that I had witnessed before.
Well, unfortunately, I can't promise that, because if the information I'm gathering is even halfway through, there are some fairly horrific things marshaling an ill wind that is certainly blowing in our direction. But
Does the house stand to benefit?
it's not so much benefit, I think, than if these things come to pass, will really be broken and there will be nothing to benefit from. So think of it more as securing what we have than scouring for more profit right now. But sometimes you have to do that, just log the doors and wait the storm out. But
I guess securing future profit is just as important as securing more.
you sound like Dad more and more every day.
Yeah, well, Dad didn't get thrown in jail as much.
True, but that's just because he had connections. And I know the other guys are kind of hard on you a little bit. Just try to write.
Speaking of Aunulf.
They just try to write it out. They're just sort of testing your mettle. I mean, all of these men have been through thick and thin with me, and you know, they just want to make sure that you are in your spot, and they deserve for you to earn it and not just be given to you. So just write it out and know that at the end of the day, none of them is ever going to actively try to hurt you. Or
I mean, at least I can stand next to Avind and they'll at least keep a 5-foot distance from me.
very interesting that you and Avon sort of hit it off. I would have expected different, but then again, Avon is always full of surprises.
Well, I mean, you know, misfits tend to congregate.
I guess, so they say. And as she says that, the door opens and the marshal comes back in, followed by, to your surprise, two Dvergers, two of the Dvergers that come from the mountains to the north. One of them is dressed in a dark cloak with leather clothing, has short black hair that's starting to recede a little bit, and a bit of a dark beard under his chin. The other one has a long duster and a sword and shield on his back, and has long, dirty blonde hair and silver hoop in his ear, and a nice beard sort of hanging low. It's not unheard of to see Dverger in this area. They're fairly close, and there's a lot of trade that comes down from the mountains, but still kind of surprising to see two of them just pop up like this out of Marshal Strecker's cabinet of curiosities there. But Strecker will arrive, he says, and he'll, as they walk in, both of them will be like, Elvig, so good to see you again. And she's like, Lake Near, Stovepipe. And they go over and shake hands, and you're like, the hell? Who are these people? And so they'll be talking for a while, sort of catching up, and it's clear that they had some adventures together not too long ago. The marshal will come and stand by you at that point and go, you know these two runts?
Not really, but apparently my sister is very familiar with them. Do they strike you with any familiarity?
Well, I'm aware of that one, and he points to the one with the short dark hair and the beard. That one's Stovepipe. He kind of gets around a lot. He's always out skulking, doing some business for the Dverger. And the other one, Lake Near, I guess, is some sort of official envoy from Queen Thekla of the Dverger. He's been moving around a lot, bit of an explorer, I guess. But he's the one who brought back what I need to show your sister. But she never mentioned them before. You hadn't heard of them? I guess perhaps you were gone in Segovia when she was taking her missions with them.
Probably. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that she's secured such a strong connection with, you know, potential profit, but we'll see.
And as you finish this discussion, the three of them, you know, sort of finish catching up and what have you. And Elvig turns to the marshal and goes, all right, you dragged me out here. You dragged my men out here. You got Lake Near and Stovepipe out here. What's this thing you have to show me? He's like, well, actually, it's Lake Near needs to show you, but let's go downstairs. As you head down the stairs, you start feeling really warm. like you would have expected going down the stairs. It's the stone stairwell. You're going in, you know, it would get kind of humid and would get kind of cool. There's obviously not necessarily going to be a fireplace down here, but you're not smelling smoke. You're not feeling anything, but the further downstairs you go, the warmer it is. And when I mean warm, I mean like you would expect to turn the corner and see the biggest furnace you've ever seen in any smithy shop. Anyway, that's how warm it is. And as you approach a door, there's a metal door sent to the wall. Strecker pulls out this really thick sort of smithy's glove. He's like, you want to brace them for it, Leiknir? And Leiknir will look at you and Elvig and go, I recently took a trip out east, and I met someone very interesting, and I don't think any of my words can do it justice. So perhaps it's best to just go in, just don't go too close to her. You may find it very uncomfortable. And so Strecker takes his hand with the big, thick-ass, you know, smithy's glove and turns the handle. And if you want to take a look at the map, when you look inside the room, you see, he called it a her. It's very impossible to tell, even though the figure that you see that is hovering about 2 feet off the ground and is emitting more heat than you've ever really felt in your life. It's very difficult to tell if they're male or female. Their entire body is not enveloped in flames. It's as if the flames are underneath the skin, and you can see the flames moving under the flesh throughout the entire body, all over. And the hair, same thing with the hair. It's as if all of her body, as Strecker has called it, a her, it's as if all of her body was containing this fire, this incredibly hot magma almost. And you can see in the room where she's hovering that the stone has started to shatter around from the heat, and the floor itself, which is just hard compacted ground, as is completely scorched and has started to, like, there's little bits of fire that have started to catch, like the freaking dirt is catching on fire, basically. How hot this is, like you could not step into the room if you wanted to.
Churgan would like to lean to Strecker and go, I know you said these walls have been here for a very long time. Are you concerned about what that thing is doing to the walls?
Son, I'm so concerned I could spit.
Right.
Leiknir says, Elvig, for lack of a better word or better name, this is Living Flame. The person that Living Flame used to be was called Nerubi, a Dyavolk from out east. It's a very strange tale that I have to tell, but this purest vessel, that's just the container, and what's supposed to go in it is what's inside Nerubi right now. And unfortunately, it's killing her. So it would be great if we could find some way of getting this Living Flame thing into a decent receptacle. So as that is going on, Aaron, there's a ghost behind you. Aaron, there's a ghost behind you in the room.
Yes, I saw that.
As you, as that's going on, we'll cut back to outside a little bit into the room with the our friends there. The three of you have, the three of you have had some food, had some drink, exchanged gossips and rumors and news with the guards here. All of them obviously seem to be a little bit on edge They'll talk about some visitors having arrived just before you last night, and it's clear that there's a little bit more to that story, but they seem to be on pretty direct orders not to say anything, and when one of them perhaps seems like they might start spilling the beans, Aethelflaed kind of gives them the stare of death, and it shuts them up and gets them back outside. So you do get a little bit of news from the area. There's not much that's been going on. Basically, the Marshal is out here for the upcoming winter holidays, which he always celebrates here in the Ancestral Hall. And until last night, until the travelers who showed up last night appeared, there was nothing sort of different or untowards in the situation. As you are finishing your meals and finishing your drinks, Aethelflaed will say, "So, how do you all come to be working for Ilvig? You seem to be a very motley crew."
Adelhard kind of, probably the first time that anybody's seen him sort of even just kind of be a little relaxed, because he's usually, always on edge, always kind of darting around, and he's around other soldiers. He's, feels a little more at home. He kind of looks up from his bowl of stew that he's just been wolfing down, and he goes, I was a fighter a long time ago. I mean, I knew your dad. We fought together a long time ago, and we could go into it, but let's just say I was on the wrong end of an explosion. And he lifts his hands up, and it kind of clinks a little bit. And he's like, "So that was that, and one thing led to another, and I was kind of hanging out in an alley back behind one of the bars there, and pretty much just, down on my luck, not having a good time. But boss lady shows up and says, 'Hey, I got a job for you.' She apparently knew me from a long time ago too, and had me kind of help me out with my arm and leg. And so I obviously I owe her, kind of giving me a chance to get back to kind of on good standings there with people. And she basically saved my life, so I figured it's the least I can do. And of course, I'm stuck with these two. He looks over at the other guys and he goes, gentlemen, I suppose we'll say. And but hey, that's where she told me to go, so that's why I'm here."
These are fascinating. May I see it more closely? And she points at the arm.
He smiles, and he kind of looks over at the other two guys, and he goes, "Sure." He reaches up and literally pops the arm off and just hands it to her. And it's just kind of going like this. And he goes, "Yeah, here you go for it. Just don't hit that button on the side there, and you'll be fine." But he doesn't tell her what the button does or anything. He just says, just don't touch that, and yeah, you'll be good. Go for it.
She's really kind of taken aback when you pop it out, but then she's really interested by it. She says, "Is this Orkin made?"
Parts of it. A little bit of Orkin, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's I suppose you could call it a custom job.
That's very interesting. I hope if I ever have the misfortune of losing, and she hands it back to you, losing one of my limbs like this, I would be able to inherit such wonderful replacements.
He takes it and just kind of slips it back inside his sleeve, because on that arm it's just a short sleeve. He's got his regular stuff on, but slips it in there, and there's just kind of this weird kind of squelching sound when he kind of sticks it back up there, and he goes, "Yeah, if something were to happen like that, let me know. I'm sure we could I could get you in touch with some right people."
Well, I certainly hope I never have to go down there, but if I do, I will absolutely remember your kind offer. And she'll look over at Aunulf and go, "You have any detachable parts?"
No, I do not, thankfully. Now, I've proven my mettle in battle through many skirmishes, and then increased my abilities with healing and other spell casting, and that's where me and Ivan kind of have similarities. We both pull different kinds of magic. So even though some people look at him strangely, or that he does things that they don't understand or creeps them out, to me, he's a fellow brother in magic, and it's just a different type of magic. But I was able to help heal many downtrodden soldiers and individuals, and after proving my mettle in battle and proving my mettle after battle, I became more useful than just your average sword hand, so to speak. So that's where I've showed my loyalty and my value.
And she looks at Avon very kind of unsure. Is he going to speak to me if I speak to him?
He should, yeah. We'll say something wise, perhaps confusing, but I bet it's wise.
Is that so? Are you a wise man then?
Anyone who claims to be a wise man is not wise.
Very well. That's very... And she turns to Edel. Is he always like this?
That's probably one of the most normal things he said in quite a long time. I mean, and Adelhard kind of just, with his good arm, goes like this. He goes, spellcaster people thing. I don't know. You can't hit it with if you can't hit it with a weapon. He reaches back, he pats his big old axe on his back, and he goes, if you can't hit it with that, I don't know what good it is.
You play cards then? Is that your... All right.
Tell me, daughter, what is it?
She's a little taken aback.
What is it that you seek to know from the fates?
I honestly don't believe that the fates really care or take concern with anyone such as I am. Simply here doing my best to keep my father's house orderly. I really don't think that the universe has anything special in mind for me.
As she is speaking, Avon just casually pulls out a couple of cards and lays them down on the small table in front of him.
That is all right. The fates smile upon you this day. You will be fine, as long as you walk the path before you and do not doubt yourself.
That's good, right? I'm usually all I want's a nice meal, a warm bed, and a roaring fire to sit in front of and warm myself by. But I guess if the fates smile on me, that's good too, right?
Aunulf really enjoys when Ivan does stuff like this, so he's gonna just use thaumaturgy to make the lights in here a whole lot brighter after he says what he says, and then they go back down.
Meanwhile, Adelhard just kind of rolls his eyes and just kind of goes, ugh. Walks over to the door. He's like, I'm gonna go hit the head. I'll be right back. And he just kind of opens the door to the outside and steps out and closes it behind him.
As you get out to the outhouse and do your business, you notice another soldier coming down from the top of the wall, carrying what looks like a helmet. And the soldier crosses the yard and goes to the barracks, and you are inside the barracks. You see the door open, and a soldier pokes his head in and goes, Edelfled, can I speak to you a moment, please? And she's like, absolutely. I'll be right back. And she'll go over, and through the window, and you from across the yard, Edelhard, and the rest of you from through the window, you'll see the guard talking to her, and he seems a little bit agitated, and he holds up a helmet, and he shows it to her, and she picks it up, and then she looks over to the wall and he points, and then the two of them head off towards one of the walls.
Were they happen to be speaking loud enough out there that I would have heard them?
Well, how about you throw a perception test out there and we'll see.
First roll of the game. Let me see here.
First roll, it better be a nat 1, or I'm stopping this.
Right?
As
With how I normally roll, it would make sense. Here we go. You want perception?
Yar.
That'd be 12. Wait, no. Yeah, 12.
Okay. You perceive that the outhouse smells a little ripe. The only thing you hear is, you don't hear anything, in fact, but your perception will let you kind of see that the soldier that came to her is obviously alarmed, and whatever he told Aethelflaed, she really doesn't believe him. So I'll give you that much on your 12.
All right. Edelhard will run back in, run kind of, keep an eye like that, but then walk back into the barracks and just be like,
you take the time to, talk to a man about a horse?
oh yeah, well, yeah. It was more get away from the weird card stuff than anything else. But he walks over, just opens the door and goes,
Hold on, I'm sorry, give me a second. Miko, you were saying something just before that.
As she leaves and as Adelhard leaves, Avent will just look over at Aunulf and staring at him with his intense gaze, just simply shake his head to the side a little bit, and he will say, "Be mindful of the young daughter. She lacks the confidence, and the fates, they have much in store for her. Before we leave, she may need you."
I will keep that in mind.
And as you say that, the door opens, a blast of wind and snow comes in, and Adelhard is standing there saying,
"Hey guys, keep an eye out. I think something's going down. You might want to get your arms ready just in case." And then he just kind of closes the door, but he's still standing outside right by the door, just kind of, looking around, waiting to see what's going to happen or if anything's going to go on or whatever, kind of keeping an eye out. He's kind of switching over from relaxed mode to just a sort of back into soldier mode sort of feel.
All right. And what about Aunulf and Avent? What do you guys do?
Prepare for any trouble and wonder if Adelhard just said, "Get your arms ready."
Would be just like him to make an arm joke.
We're gonna get a lot of arm puns.
That's right. And Avent.
Avon sits there just quietly contemplating things for a few moments, and then
You feel kind of a tremor in your cards.
Yeah. And then after those few moments, he looks over at Aunulf, and he begins regaling Aunulf of a tale of beloved friends, of allies that had fought together not too long ago. They fought valiantly against an overwhelming force, and only through the courage that they both had and the value that they held within each other were they able to overcome it. And for the next 10 minutes, you will get
plus 20 charisma.
eight temporary hit points as I use my Tales from the Beyond ability.
You're feeling very pumped up by that tale, and you feel like you could take on just about anything. Now, at least 8 hit points worth of it. Which is better than none. Better than kicking your ass.
Feels good.
Give me another perception test as you're at the window, Adelhard, keeping an eye out just to see if you pick up on anything else.
Ooh, that's a better one. 21.
All right, so you see the two of them up on the wall, and then you see a third soldier come, and they're talking. They seem to be looking on the other side of the wall, and it's at the back of the keep. And you know that the back of the keep is this steep ravine that goes down, like really, 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 really far down. And then there seems to be some consternation, and she's like kind of telling them, calm down, kind of like this, she's obviously trying to calm them. They're obviously kind of very spooked. She comes walking back, and you watch her all the way, and it's clear she's coming towards where you guys are.
What was her name again?
Sorry?
What was her name again?
Faithful Flayed.
What's her rank? You said she's a captain of the house guard, right?
Yeah, she's like, there's no real rank. It's not a military thing, but she'd be like the captain of the house guard here, yeah, basically.
So as she approaches, he goes, "So, Captain, what's the deal going on over there? Everything okay?"
Something kind of mysterious happened, and I'm having a little difficulty wrapping my head around it. But seeing as how two of your friends here appear to be perhaps a little bit more open to strange happenings, I was wondering if you'd mind coming to take a look at something for me.
Absolutely. And Adelhard, he's still standing by the door. He opens up the door and he goes, "Hey guys, they need us to come look at something." And then he just kind of leaves the door open and starts walking, basically, whether, letting them follow up if they want to, but he just kind of, something's going on, and he's, I'm sure his little, his soldier senses are starting to tingle a little bit, knows, you can tell something's going on, so he starts, kind of walking that way.
Before the door had even had its handle turned, Avend was already standing up, and by the time it finishes opening, he's taken a step towards the door. Also, just for mechanical purposes, so you know, Chris, I also got 8 temporary points from that story.
Okay. And Aunulf?
I'm heading out quickly as I can.
You walk across the courtyard, and the snow's really picking up, and the wind's really picking up, and you can see the clouds are really kind of hovering low now. They're dark gray, very threatening. There's definitely a storm, maybe even a blizzard that's sort of on its way. You climb up the stone steps onto the battlements, and she brings you around to the rear. And when you get there, you see the other two soldiers are there, and they're kind of staring at something on the ground. And as you approach, you realize that on the ground, you see a spear and a shield and a cloak and the indentation of the snow of where the helmet would have been. And all this is laid out very, very carefully around, but there's no sign of who they would have belonged to, but it's definitely the same gear that the other guards are wearing. And as you approach, you can hear one of the guards say to the other, "He was here. I just saw him. Like, we spoke 2 minutes ago. We exchanged some words over that corner, and he was just doing his rounds." And they're like, "Oh, Aethelflaed, who the hell are these guys?" And she's like, they're friends of the marshal that She turns to you guys. She's like, I'm a little unsure what's happened here, but they swear Eirik was here a moment ago, and that's definitely his cloak and his helmet and his weapons. But he appears to have disappeared. I'm not sure at all where he went or what this is all about. Any of you have any suggestions that don't have anything to do with him simply vanishing in thin air?
Is this all inside the wall, or was this on the outside? Like we're up on the top looking down.
You're on the top, and it's like where the battlements are, like on the top.
Okay, yeah, but it looks like nothing else has been disturbed, right? They just basically picked up the helmet and took it to her.
Yeah, but you can go ahead, and anyone, if you want, you can do a survival check just to see if you can, if you can make sense of the various tracks and kind of indentations and stuff in the snow.
Who is between the two of you best at that?
I got a +3 to survival.
I do as well, and also can do guidance on Adelhard as he's taking a look around.
All right.
You doing anything, Ivan? Or
I was going to do guidance as well, so.
All right, so you get guidance. Guidance is a D6, D4?
D4.
Well, here's that D4. Hold on, let me grab one. So the ice is probably gumming up his knee a little bit while he's trying to get down and taking a look because he rolled a 9, and here's the guidance. Oh well, I got a 4 on that, so that's cool.
Okay.
13.
Yeah, so you're having a little difficulty, as you said, sort of getting down, and you look at it, and at first you don't really see anything that kind of gets you, but then you get a sudden little sort of rush of inspiration. You don't know from where, perhaps some sort of divine inspiration. You instead of looking on the ground, get up and look at the top of the crenellation of the battlement, and you can clearly see the indentation of a foot.
Is the foot facing like outward, out of the building?
Yeah.
Adelhard's going to kind of lean out and kind of look over the edge of the wall and kind of look down and see, is there anything else down there? Or is it just a foot and that's it?
Down the wall, there's just a very short space of rock, and then it drops down into this ravine. And it's so kind of far that at the bottom you can kind of make out the trees a little bit, but with the fog and the snow, not the fog, but the snow and whatnot as they're coming in, you have a lot of difficulty sort of making anything down there. Here and there you'll see a little bit of a tree poking out and so on and so forth, but it's just this whirlwind, this maelstrom of snow that's just kind of floating around down there.
I kind of, Adelhard waves the other two guys over and goes, I think he jumped. Apparently it looks like he probably got naked and then climbed up here. And then either he jumped or he started to fly away. At that point, I'm not quite sure. But he took all his stuff off and got on the wall at least.
Jumped, pushed, or fell, perhaps.
Adelhard looks over. Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm assuming that when we look over the crenellations, we don't see a body or anything down below.
Well, that's what I was just saying, right? There's just a lot of snow and you don't see anything. One of the other guys like, did he fly? And it's like, don't be a fucking idiot. He didn't fly. Get back to your rounds. And don't spread word of this to anyone until I know what's going on. Yes, ma'am. And then the other two guards kind of split and go off.
Adelhard looks over to the captain and goes, is there any easy way to get down there? Like, you guys got a walkway or
the easiest
ladder
way
or
is
something?
the one that Einrich took. Being up here sometimes can be difficult on the men, especially when we have a lot of bad weather. Sometimes they go a little weird, but I certainly wouldn't have expected. And as she's kind of saying that, you hear in the courtyard, Adelfled, Adelfled, Adelfled. And when you turn around, you see the stable boy is in the middle of the yard, kind of waving his hands and screaming. And she goes, what's wrong, boy? He says, Adelfled, Adelfled. And he points, the horses. And then when you look over where the stable, all the horses are lying on the ground. Some of them are kind of still moving. There's blood shooting from their mouths. And you can see already blood that's kind of like been spewed all over as they've been vomiting this blood for a while. And all of the horses are kind of either falling or already on their side and sort of in the throes of pain.
We'll immediately step forward and rush to where the horses are at. As soon as I get I don't know how long it's going to take, so I'm rushing that direction.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, you guys all going, or are you?
Adelhard just kind of stands up there where he's at. He takes his axe off his back, looks over to Aunulf and goes, something's not. This isn't right. Why don't you go see what you can do? I'm helpless when it comes to sick animals. I'll keep an eye out up here. And then he just kind of looks over the courtyard and kind of seeing if he can see anything going on that would be causing something like this. And now all of a sudden, like a disappeared guy and all that sort of stuff. He's just kind of scanning the courtyard, the skies, the top of the building, stuff like that.
Okay, Aunulf.
Right before Ivan runs off, I cast Bless on the three of us just in case. And then I run to follow Ivan.
As you run down into the courtyard, it doesn't take very long, maybe 30 seconds or so, as you just come across one of the other battlements and sort of run down. You can see that a bunch of guards have started to come out. They're looking at what the screaming's all about. The kids crying and really obviously kind of in shock at sort of what's going on. And there's maybe like 15 horses total in the corral, and they're all on the ground. Some of them are thrashing, and they've just been spewing blood from their mouth, and it's just the snow everywhere is turning red and muddy as their hooves are kind of kicking in and, you know, pulling up dirt from underneath the snow and all that. And then the kid's just crying, and Aethelflaed runs over and picks him up, and she's like, what's happened? You know, he's like, I don't know. They just started making weird noises, and then they started falling, and then they were just blood was pouring from their mouth. And I don't know what's happening. And she calls one of the other guards. She goes, take him inside. And someone says, should we tell the marshal? She's like, I'll take care of that. And then you'll be able to approach the horses. What do you do?
As soon as I get within just a few feet, you know, I am assuming that they're being pretty violent about their kicking.
Yeah, but they're pretty much, they're
such.
like kind of dying now. Like there's only a few that are still thrashing.
Whichever one is closest that's actually still thrashing, I will immediately do a healing word on to see if it has any effect. Like at the distance before I finish closing in.
Okay. I do not think so. It will, you know, heal the wounds, but it won't take care of the problem.
Right. Yeah,
Can I do
I'll let
perception
somebody. Yeah, I'll let
check?
somebody else do something too.
Perception check to see if anything I notice, like near the stables or anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thankfully, I have advantage because of my lovely shield.
Swell.
So that's a total of 10 because the second roll was a 1.
It was healing word they use, Miko?
Yes, it's just hit point healing.
Yeah, so no, I went. And you rolled what?
I got a 10.
All right, so like you're just really kind of mesmerized by this scene. The horse is just dying, you know, with the blood and all that. You're like, I've seen some shit, but like, you know, what the hell, you know, like it's pretty kind of a messed up thing. As you're sort of seeing all this, Aethelflaed will say, I think it's time to go warn the marshal that something's going on here. Is there anything else you can do or that you can see or that, and she looks at you, especially Avon.
After she looks at me for a moment, I just look down at my deck, draw one of the cards off of the top. It disappears in my hand, and I cast Detect Good and Evil.
Everybody's evil. No. Detect Good and Evil. I always have to reread exactly what that thing does.
It allows me to know if there's any aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead within 30 feet, as well as knowing where the creature is located. It can also detect magically consecrated or desecrated places and objects as well. So basically any presence of anything overwhelmingly quote unquote good or evil.
Yeah, so how far does it work? And it'll be blocked by stone, right? I'm just trying to see if
Yeah, it will be.
that's downstairs.
It will be blocked by stone. It only detects a 30 feet distance.
So no, nothing at all of the sort. Nothing that stands out to you with the spell. Anything else?
I think I will look at her and tell her to summon the Marshal and Elvig. They will need to see this. We are too late. And I'll just step back away from the dying horses.
All right, back inside the house. Basically, what's been going on, Jurgen, is Lakenir. Sorry, I was blanking on the name. Lakenir has been telling this story about how he came to discover the living flame. I'm not gonna go into it now because I'm just gonna have to tell it again later to the other guys. So I'll fill you in at that point. It's not super important now, but he's been telling this story about going somewhere. Now he had a companion with him named Nerubi, and with the weird adventures that happened to them, she became the living flame. The thing that's clear to you is that the person that's in there is suffering immensely. The heat keeps growing, and Leitner basically says that, you know, she took the living flame, but she's not meant to hold it. She can't hold it because there's something special about her, but she's clearly dying. And at first she was able to kind of switch between the way she is now and her regular body, but now she can't even do that anymore. And the only thing we know is that this thing, this purest vessel, is two parts. It is the living flame and the receptacle, which from your description, Jurgen, is what you saw in the underworld that the Grey Eldrin left with. My hope was that you would have more information or any light to shed on where we might try to find it or get our hands on it again, because without it, I'm certainly, one, afraid that Nerubi will die, but also that we may lose yet again another powerful artifact to protect ourselves. Is there anything you remember or anything that you could tell me about where we might possibly find the receptacle of the purest vessel?
Does Jurgen know if the purest vessel already had like something in it previously?
So what you saw when you saw the purest vessel was a sphere, okay? And it was it looked like if you were to mix gold paint and oil inside a glass sphere, and the two would never mix and they would just kind of swirl around each other, okay? And there was kind of like a casing around it that wasn't physical, but that you could touch, that it was physical, so that it was sort of like a projection aura around it of some sort of casing, but it was missing parts. It wasn't complete. And the one thing you remember for sure is that there was definitely no flames, no fire, and in fact that for the brief moments that you and your companions were close to it, it felt inert. It didn't feel like there was magic radiating from it, but not anything that was... Your feeling is that there was definitely something missing from it.
I look to, was it Lakenir?
Yes.
And say, well, it did look empty, so I'm guessing that needs to go in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this time it would just be a matter of tracking down the Grey Elden who took it last I saw.
But this was a few months ago, right? Where were you saw this? I had no clue. You were in the underworld and you traveled for several days in the underworld and you came back out in Segovia. So you're like, freaking, they could have been anywhere, really.
I mean, unless we can find potentially the rat folk that we interacted with previously to kind of give us a location. I'm not quite sure where we were necessarily. It was deep in the underworld. I don't frequent it very much. It's very hard to say.
So your sister will say, well, I don't know, but I have someone with me. Avon, he sees things. I think I would like him to see Living Flame and tell me what he thinks. And as she says that, the door opens and you hear boots tonk, tonk, tonk sort of coming down the stone stairs. And you see Adelflaed there, sort of out of breath. And she's like, Father, you have to come. Something's wrong in the keep. There's the horses have been, I guess, poisoned perhaps, and there's soldiers missing. Please come. And so it says that he closes the door and he's like, of course there's going to be some shit coming from this. Let's go and see what's up with that. And so the rest of you will sort of head out. And as they start running and going up, the darker haired dwarf Stovepipe will grab you, Jurgen, by the sleeve a little bit. And he'll say, the rat folk that you saw, what are we talking, a dozen, few dozens, hundreds? And you saw a whole city full of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking potentially thousands. Does that concern you?
Aye, lad, it does, and if you had any sense, it would concern you too. We'll speak on it some more later. Let's go and see what foul business is happening upstairs.
Right. And Jurgen turns to continue rushing up the stairs.
So as you guys will go upstairs, outside, while this is going on, Ethelflaed has gone in to get her father, and you're watching the horse, and some of the soldiers have come and have started putting the remaining horses that were still kind of thrashing, down to sort of ease their suffering. And as that's happening, all of you hear resounding outside the walls of the keep, the unmistakable sound of war horns echoing throughout the crags outside. And they're coming from all around.
The moment the war horns went off, Adelhard kind of just a movement that, he's practiced thousands of times before, reaches up, grabs his axe, pulls it off his back, and just kind of like this, and he's just looking around, and he's suddenly switched from this sort of like investigative mode. He's in, battle mode, and he starts turning around, looking to try to see if he can see which direction they're kind of coming from, and he kind of holding it and getting, his muscles kind of start rippling, and he's all like, he just yells down to the guys down below. He's like, guys, to arms! I did not mean the arm pun that time.
Avon and Aunulf, as you see the other soldiers there in the yard, kind of starts about, and when Adelhard kind of takes charge, it says that they all start running towards battlements. What would you guys like to do?
Prepare my weapons and go with the soldiers. No, I would probably stick with closer to Helwig. Yeah.
You'll see Elwig and the others come out of the house at that point, including two dwarves, two dvergers.
Yeah, I would definitely head to her side.
Avon?
Following Aunulf, and as we are moving, I tell him, remember what I said. Stay close to the daughter. I shall mind Helvig and Jurgen. And then I approach Jurgen very, very calmly, without the rise of alarm that everyone else seems to have.
And as you all cross the courtyard and climb up on the walls. Did you wish to say something, Avon, to Jurgen, or are you just following with him?
Just following for now.
Okay. So you'll climb up on the walls of the battlements around, and as you climb up, you'll see on the edge of the forest, all around, surrounding you, a vast number of Orcan soldiers are approaching in perfect marching order, coming out of the forest, some of them up the road. And Adelhard, would you do me a perception check, please?
Absolutely. I was just going to ask if I would happen to know what company this was. That's a 19.
All right. As you look and see these soldiers approaching, you recognize coming over there on the right the banners of the Kersenrot, the ancestral company of Red Gazella. And as you take that in, you see a little bit over to the left the banners of the Blutkling, the company of the other Gisela, this one called the Unbroken, the Unbowed, are also standing. And as you're starting to think that that's really strange that these two companies would be there, you see another banner coming up the road behind them, the banner of the Dunkel Faust, Gethra Bloodclaws, ancestral company. And you're pretty sure that the horns you're hearing blowing from behind the keep at the bottom of the ravine, that area, are those of the Gildhan, Ansbrecht Anvil Blacks company. 4 of the 5 ancestral companies of Orcan mercenaries are now surrounding the keep in which you find yourselves.
And with my military background, would I know that whether or not they've been known to work together, or is it something that would be really like out of place, like with my military history being like, why the hell are they all working together, sort of deal?
Well, so what you would know is they have worked together. Sometimes they've been hired by the same patrons. More often than not, they've been hired by different patrons. You do know that, of course, as per the Old Iron Compact, all of them are expected to answer the call of the Marshal if ever the Orcan nation itself needs to be defended, as these are the, along with the missing one, the Schonenspeer company, they are the greatest military units in the country. So that they would work together if ordered to do so by the Marshal, sure, absolutely, that would make sense if there was a threat to the nation. But usually they're campaigning, and as far as you know, they were supposed to all be on campaigns, except for the Schonenspeer, who was retrofitting in Trust, but all the others were supposed to be on campaigns everywhere around the world, basically. And to see them here is definitely very, very, very strange.
Adelhard looks over to the Marshal. Does he look like he was expecting this, or does he seem to be surprised that there's all these people showing up?
Well, as he comes running up, he says, "What in the blue fucking hell is this all about now?"
That's what I thought. Adelhard kind of, yells over to the couple of the house guards that are by the gate and just yells at them to lock the gate. And
the guards already moving, obviously sort of getting that ready, locking up. You figure that there's about maybe 30 guards in the compound here. Perhaps another 10 that's not on duty that you haven't seen or something like that. But you figure a place like this of about 30 to 40. There are several thousand Orcan troops out in the field surrounding you right now.
Jurgen would lean over to Helvig and go, "I did say I'd help you, but I didn't think this would be what you needed help with."
Well, it's definitely more than we bargained for, that's for sure. And she says that Stryker will advance and climb up to the wall, He'll look down. He'll be like, Bloodclaw, is that you, girl? And this powerfully built Orcan warrior with this green plate armor, this helm with a red crest on it, advances forward. Everyone make a perception check, if you would.
15.
16.
Sorry, Chad, you're muted.
So I am 12.
And 4.
All right. Well, anyone with 15 or above, you will notice as she pulls a battle axe from her back and sort of plants it head down to the ground, that the battle axe seems to be writhing and kind of alive with green energy, and it almost looks as if there is a battle axe and that something else has kind of wrapped itself or sort of absorbed perhaps the battle axe, as there seems to be like another kind of stave type weapon attached to it, and you can see this green sort of energy that's circling all around it, and at the head where the pommel of the axe would be, there is this serpent head that sort of sticks out, and the serpent head is clearly from the part that's kind of been attached to the axe. And she'll plant that there. And she'll go, "It's me, old man. How goes it in there? You keep it nice and warm?" He's like, and Striker says, "How about we cut to the chase? What the hell is this? I didn't summon any of you." She's like, "I know, we just decided to come and see how y'all were faring down here. It's been a while since you invited us into your home for tea and biscuits. I was starting to think you didn't love us anymore." Says, "I love you fine, but you should be out there earning money and honor and doing your duty. And I'd like to know what the hell you're doing in my garden right now, Gethra Bloodclaw. Speak." "Well, you see, us ancestral companies, we end up getting hired to do all sorts of different things. We travel the world, killed most of it, and sometimes we get asked to do different things. Some things are easier than others, some things more pleasant, some things less savory at times, perhaps. And I dare say, old man, that this is one of those times when the task is perhaps less savory, but nonetheless one that we must bend ourselves to. And you, of course, being the one who's trained most of us and inculcated in us this willingness to do the hard work, I'm sure you will appreciate it, even as perhaps you don't appreciate what it is exactly I've come to say. So I'd appreciate a hell of a lot more if you'd get to it and just speak it." She says, "Well, I'll make it very easy on you and yours. It's a simple matter, really. I see you've got Master Merchant Astara there. I'm sure she'll be able to tell you what an incredible bargain I'm offering you. Speak. I'm offering you all your lives, all of you. All of you may live. No Orcan blood need be spilled here tonight. But I want the Fire Girl. I want the Fire Girl, and I'm going to have her." Striken starts to laugh. He laughs at what she's saying. You can tell it's just kind of a little bit of bravado. He's like, "Is this what you've come for? Well, I'm sure that you know damn well that according to the Iron Compact, I'm the ultimate leader of the companies. It is my word that is law. I have no idea what got into you all to think that you could come here today and make any sort of demands on me. But I'm sure you understand that this will not stand and this will not be allowed to happen. I am the ultimate leader of the companies, and as such, they answer to me and me only." And Gethra nods and says, "I know, old man. I know. I understand." And as she says that, I would like everyone to roll an initiative but it's an initiative just to sort of see if you're taken by surprise or not. It's not an actual start of combat thing. I just want to kind of get a read on everyone's reactions here.
I got a 15.
6.
16.
24.
You saw it coming. And in fact, it's probably going to be a little bit of a flashback for you there. But as she says that, she says, "I know, old man, I know." And she seems a little sad when she says it. You see mist form just behind the general. And suddenly, where there was nothing, is an Orcan woman standing there wearing a cloak, a black cloak with red lining inside. And in a moment's time, she has grabbed the general and has pushed a blade into his back. And as you watch, and he seems as surprised as anybody else, anyone who rolled at least 15 or more are not taken too short by this, but anyone who rolled less than that is just sort of frozen in place that this happened. But you see her push the general forward and sort of ride his body on his back as he goes over the wall. Anyone who rolled over 15, tell me if you have any sort of reaction or anything you would like to do at this. You may choose not
for
to
what
do-
it's worth, I still have the detect good and evil up.
Mhm.
Does that have any effect on my perception of anything?
No, the person that's appeared behind, that's what I was checking earlier. The person that's appeared behind the marshal does not fall into any of those categories that I saw.
Okay. Am I able to cast a spell?
It depends. A reaction, sure. Not a reaction, but that doesn't
It's an
even make
action.
sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So if you rolled over 15, you can take an action, yes.
Okay. I will cast Fairy Fire in the area of this assassin.
Okay. Anybody else rolled over 15 doing anything?
Trying to see what spell I could possibly do, because Fairy Fire is a good one. I mean, as she's riding him down, can I heal him with Healing Word?
Yeah, you could throw. Yeah, you can certainly roll that.
Certainly.
Certainly.
I'm sorry, did you say?
She has to make a dexterity save, by the way.
Yep. Okay. Is there a specific DC for the save?
It's only 13.
Okay, cool.
Assuming she's good enough to avoid that.
And
6
Aunulf?
points of healing.
Okay. Usually when you heal someone, Aunulf, you sort of reach out and you kind of feel their life force, their life essence, or whatever it is, in there, and this is what you sort of, enhance or help grow. And because people obviously all heal over time, and what you really do is just sort of speed that along, but there has to be something there. And when you reach out to him with this, you literally feel none of that. There's nothing left in him.
Okay.
And the body will fall, and you're right that she was able to make the save against the fairy fire, and as the body hits the ground, there's a flash of mist sort of over him, and the assassin is gone. And as everyone on the battlements is kind of struck by this, Gethra Bloodclaw picks up her axe puts it over her shoulder. You have until sunup, or until I get bored, to deliver her, or by the black blood itself, I swear your corpses will feed the crows. Listen, you hear the blackbirds cry, how they hunger? Sun up, or they feast. And with that, she turns around and walks away. And with that, we will take our break. A short break.
Woo.
To refresh ourselves.
I'm gonna have to
talk of the kind of boondoggle we find ourselves in. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Stick around. We won't be gone very long, just long enough to wet the whistle, and we'll be right back with some more Orc in action. Thanks, guys. Awesome role playing so far. Loving it. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hey, thanks for sticking with us, coming back to see us play. We do enjoy your presence. Gives us comfort, gives us joy. So thank you very much for sticking with us. In the first part of this saga, which is Saga 8, Blackbird's Cry, the group arrived at the keep of Marshal Strecker, the head of the Orcan army, because they had been summoned there. Or rather their boss, Aelvig Ostar, had been summoned there, and she asked them to come with her, as they are her inner circle of advisors. And the Marshal has presented Aelvig with two dwarves, one named Lakenir, one named Stovepipe, who have brought a strange being with them, a being made apparently of living flame. And while they were discussing this and sort of seeing what this was all about, certain events started happening in the keep, with a soldier disappearing, and then the horses getting poisoned, and then the keep was surrounded by an army of Orcan mercenaries, the 4 of the 5 ancestral companies that are the pride of the Orcan nation, who theoretically are under the control of the Marshal, but as Grethna Bloodclaw, the leader of one of the companies, made very apparent by ordering in front of everyone the assassination of the Marshal. The Marshal is no longer in charge. What has happened since then is that, having been given a deadline of the morning sunup, or until Gethra gets bored, to deliver the fire, being the fire girl, over to her, the group has repaired inside, with the soldiers now manning the walls, but no imminent threat being felt. Have repaired inside the keep. The Marshal's daughter, Aethelfled, is under a little bit of shock after what she's just seen her father murdered, and the body has been dropped on the other side of the wall, so they can't even get to it right now. So they've brought her back inside the house. And as the group has been questioning Aelwig as to what this was all about, who's the fire girl and all that, Aelwig would have said to you, I believe I should let Lakenir explain, perhaps, before we show you what this is all about, just so you have an idea of exactly what it is that we're dealing with. And at that moment, Lakenir, one of the 2 dwarves, will step up and go, first, I'm deeply sorry that us being here and bringing Living Flame here has caused this situation. We could not have predicted it, of course, but I do feel quite responsible for this. Stovepipe and I have been talking, and Stovepipe will attempt to slip out of the keep to go and find perhaps some support. We believe that while it's impossible for us to get back up into the mountains enough to reach our queen Thekla, that he might be able to reach the king of the Highland Dvergs, who live only a few days away. And right now it's perhaps the best we can do, but King Anknock should be willing to help. So we'll at least have that, as futile as it may seem. And
as he is speaking, Avend has kind of locked eyes with him, catching him in his intense gaze. And once there's a pause in what he says, Avend just simply says, "What is meant to be will always find a way."
I found it to be so. I found it to be so for sure. And he'll turn around and he'll shake hands with Stovepipe and he goes, "It's always you in the hot seat." He's like, "Well, I think you're in the hot seat this time. I'd rather be out there than stuck in here with all those angry Orcans out there. So good luck, my friend." So they'll shake arms and he'll slip out. And we'll see what happens with Stovepipe a little later. But Lakeneer will turn to you and go, "If you'll allow me, I'll give you a brief explanation of what has led to this and how we got into this situation in the first place. I recently led an expedition to Blight Rock, east of Carthum Desert, for those of you who may not know where it is. After Thekla became queen in Anurthar, the city I come from, she assigned me to finding out what I could about this disease or strange power that we call the necrophage. This necrophage was the power that the Necro King used to build and maintain control of his empire for 400 years. We recently saw evidence of it reappearing throughout the world in Segovia, for example, where Jurgen was recently. These rat folk that you meant are believed to be carriers of it, amongst others, which is why perhaps a few thousand of them is a bit of a scary proposition. There's a story that I was told some time ago that perhaps will frame this better for you, by a wizened old Verger named Grimnir who lives in Anurthar. I now know that most cultures have a version of this story. You may have heard one. This one is called Story of Life and Death. It's a story about the first two living beings on this world. I don't think we really can take it too literally, but in this version, these two are called Liv and Dodd. Both had forgotten who they were. They sort of just lived in the paradise that Eld was at the time without much care. And one day, according to the story, a giant serpent appeared. And this serpent, when we were in Blight Rock, we saw a statue of it in the temple where we were. The serpent offered an apple to Liv. And when she ate it, she remembered who she was. She remembered that she was life, the one who creates. She was so excited that she ran to Dodd and she had him eat the apple. And then he remembered who he was, Death, the Unmaker. They were so happy to finally remember that who they were, that they embraced, and in doing so, at Dodd's touch, Liv died. Dodd became enraged and filled with grief and guilt, and he, Dodd, Death, swore that nothing else would live if she couldn't. And as he wanted to die to be with her again, he knew that all other life had to cease, for only when all life is gone can death die. He set on a path of death and destruction that lasted centuries. He became the one that we now know as Shadesong. By some accounts, he was defeated several hundred years ago by the Order of Oathwyn, a mystical martial order that only barely survives to this day. It's very possible that the necrophage comes from him. It's a power, a sort of disease, that when it infects someone, it begins killing them slowly because it feasts on the dying flesh, on the necrotizing flesh. And while it's doing this, it controls the mind of the host, and it forces them to spread the necrophage around them. And this is how the necrophage procreates. The Necro King controlled this power. He discovered it deep in the mountains north of here. And I'm ashamed to say that my people played a part in that, unfortunately. We went to Blight Rock, following up on the trail of an artifact called the Purest Vessel. There's some ruins beneath the Mayati, the volcano in Blight Rock, and there we discovered, well, frankly, we discovered a lot of information about the origins of the people on this world. Did you know that turns out we're all descendant from one people a long time ago, whether we're Dvergr or human or Orcan or even Eldrin? It's a bit of a strange story. In any case, this civilization is the one that created the necrophage. And they also created artifacts that can affect it, sometimes destroy it. We did also discover that the purest vessel was not there, but that the purest vessel was created to contain the living flame. Currently, the living flame resides in a person, a friend of mine named Ruby, but it's killing her right now. When Strecker heard my story, he called on you, Elvig, because you had talked about your brother possibly knowing where the purest vessel was. Fortunately, he does not. This commander outside, Gaethra, she likely works for the people who wish to use the necrophage the same way the Necro King did. We've found evidence of some of their leaders carrying staves made in the forms of snakeheads, and she seemed to have such a weapon. These people would want to destroy any possible means of protection we might have against the necrophage, and this would include the living flame. So I ask you now, for the sake of all, to help me to protect Nerubi and the living flame. Now I know a lot of this is probably a lot to sort of take in just like this, but I think that perhaps if I could introduce you to the living flame, you might understand a little better. If you'll follow me. And as you go again and you go downstairs, the same way Jurgen did earlier, you go down the steps, you start feeling this heat, but Jurgen, this time it's twice as hot as it was before. Like you're almost suffocating me down here. The heat is so intense. It's literally like walking inside a furnace. And as you're approaching the door, Leiknir's got this glove now, but even as he touches the handle of the door, like it starts to burn the glove right away. It's that hot. And he kind of manages to open it. And when he opens the door, the rest of you see what Jurgen saw earlier, this woman made of living flame that's just sort of hanging there about a few feet off the ground, eyes rolled back. But the heat is so intense, and now you can see that part of her skin is starting to sort of peel away and crack and flake off, kind of like molten stone would look like, with the red striations and sort of the burnt flesh around it. And the heat and the light that's coming from it is so intense that you can't even bear to look at it. And the walls are scorched, the stone is cracked, the ground is also completely burnt. There's flames everywhere. The stone around it basically is catching on fire. It's almost shaking with the amount of power that it has, and you can't stand there very long. Leiknir has to sort of close the door and guide you back upstairs, and as you go upstairs, he says she's been this way for a few days now. We had a lot of difficulty bringing her here, but when we brought her here, she still was Nerubi. She was still a Diavol. We were able to bring her into the room, but then she started transforming like this. I don't think she can hold on to this power for much, much longer. But this thing that's inside of her, this living flame, is one of very few things that can oppose the necrophage. And I'm sure most of you have not heard of it yet, but there's been breakouts in Segovia, in the Magisterium recently. There was an attack on the city, and thousands of Eldrin in the capital of the Magisterium were infected by this disease and had to be killed by their friends and their neighbors and their loved ones. In the north, same thing. The giants in Kettleheim were afflicted by it. Their Titan cousins all were corrupted by it. There's evidence of it being in the northeast, also in Blasher, and we saw evidence of it also in the northwest. this thing is spreading. This is possibly one of the last few places that still hasn't been affected by it. But this thing has come and gone several times through centuries, and every time it has come and gone, it has laid waste to the land and to the people here. It's on the rise again, and there are some people out there who are attempting to control it for their own purposes. One of the few things we have left to hopefully defeat this is the living flame. Some of the other artifacts have been lost already. Aelvig would sort of take all this in, and then she'd be like, I'll want to know what you all think about this. But perhaps Avent, I thought Envo. I mixed two your character's name. Perhaps Avent, you have the ability to see beyond what the rest of us can see and to sense the truth of things. I'm wondering if you would do me a favor and tell me what you think of this, because I really have no clue what to think of this living flame, the story that Lignier has told us. Can you perhaps shed some light?
I warned you before you departed me earlier to be mindful of the shepherd, one who carries too much burden and needs it shared between others.
Avent glances down at his deck of cards. Wisps of light and effervescent energy just roiling off of the edges of them, becoming more prominent in the presence of the living flame as he stares across at this individual that has taken this dramatic burden upon themselves. He seems shaken almost by what he sees. And he turns back to Aelvig, stares at her for several long moments. This reading will be unlike the others that I have done for you. It will not be about you, or maybe even us. It will be about the world and where fate leads us in the days to come. Will you accept whatever fate says tonight?
I certainly don't think that choice is something that comes into it when the fate's concerned. I will accept your reading and your fate.
Very well.
And seemingly not bothered by the heat, Avent takes a step closer to the living flame before turning his back towards her. And as he draws out his spirit deck in front of him and starts shuffling the cards methodically without looking at them, you can almost feel a sense of conflict in his actions, as this might be one of the most important readings he's ever done in his life. There's a pause as he stares down at the spirit deck. And when he looks back up, you can see that his eyes, where normally you can see pupils, no longer have them. They are now pure white. Still intense, as always, but this time more than what they have ever been. He places the deck down in front of him, no longer shuffling it. And as he reaches a hand down, a card seems to almost materialize, not from the top, but from somewhere within it, and floats up to his hand. He stares at it for several moments before placing it down. The Father, inverted, benevolence, but now a skull, death, but not the personification, implies change. Reaches down once more, seeming to hesitate before another card comes up. He stares at it. The Mother. White robes, appropriately placed next to the Father. It means life. And then he glances over in the direction, his eyes seemingly not really focused, but in the direction of the Durgan who said the story from before, and just nods. Reaches his hands towards the deck once more. Third card comes up. The Queen, also inverted. It means subservience, connected to the Mother, perhaps a thrall. Confusing. Draws a fourth card. The Tower of the Sage. Places it over top of all of the rest. Knowledge is amassed over time. Something is waiting. The world is dealing with opposing forces, seemingly complementing each other as they orbit one another in the fates, seemingly waiting for something to unfold. And he goes quiet for a very long time. What feels like may only be moments, but maybe minutes as well. Glances up towards Jurgen. Before turning back to Aelvig.
Is that it then?
Not. It is not. This only tells us the state of the world. We must know the future. And we must not be afraid of it. As he stares towards Jurgen once again.
I'm starting to not like his readings more and more.
Reaches down his hand in the direction of the cards once more to continue his second reading. Card materializing in his hand. The child, an infant,
correctly placed, meaning of importance.
Reaches for a second. Stares at it for seemingly a shock of surprise. Places it down beneath the child.
The crossroads, but reversed. Inverted means that there is a choice to be made. But who will make it?
As he's reaching for the third card on this reading, his head tilts in the direction behind him towards the flame. And before he can even get his hand close enough to the deck, a new card materializes in his hand. And you all can all see a glow emanating from it, mimicking the light of the being behind him. He doesn't even need to look at it, and he knows.
The primal fire.
And it kind of floats down onto the others.
Conflict. Uncertainty. Does it bring warmth? Or does it bring destruction?
Quickly moves to the fourth card.
The verdict. Inverted. Judgment. No. Emancipation. Freedom. Leaving behind something. Starting your life anew.
Glances once again in the direction of Jurgen. Reaches down before placing his hand upon the deck, glances back towards Helvig.
The final card.
Calmly picks it up, brings it in front of him.
The cosmic balance. Attending the verdict. The more aligned correctly. This is part of what is beneath, the world below. A cavern of some kind, a tomb.
He reaches his other hand down and picks up the remaining cards in the deck, seemingly clutches them tightly in his hand before looking intently at all of the cards arrayed in front of him, seemingly contemplating what they mean.
There are primal forces at work here. I'm not certain if they are in tandem or opposing one another. A child's future hangs in the balance. A single choice will determine that fate. I cannot say, though, whether this choice will be made in fiery conflict or with fiery conflict. It may spell good, or it may be for ill. This conflict will set someone free, but bring death to someone else. And it will take place beneath us in the world below, in a tomb, or some other place of death.
And then he just goes quiet and starts collecting the cards back in front of him. His eyes return to their normal state. You're muted.
Legnir will say, well, that was intense. Is it always like this?
No. But it's moments like this that are the most important.
Some of it made sense to me, but I can't say that all of it did, or even most of it. Aelvig, this is your man. What do you make of it? I've come to realize that I don't need to understand it, as long as Avon does. Usually things work out okay, but then she looks at the three of you, the other three. Whatever the full meaning of what Avon has just read in the future might be, the fact remains that, as I was telling my brother earlier, I long ago determined that my path lay along this route to oppose this thing, the necrophage, whatever it is. I found that while achieving success and fame and renown and traveling abroad as much as I have and becoming rich beyond my wildest dreams has been quite entertaining. It's left me wondering if this was the only thing I was meant to do. I don't know what my part is in this, but I intend to play it to the fullest. However, that being said, as you know, Avon's reading is quite dire. I would not require all of you to come with me. All of you are with me for one reason or another, because you feel you perhaps owe me a debt of some sort, or allegiance for whatever reason, but I hereby completely release you of any debt you may feel you owe me. I wish you to know that you can decide to walk away right now, and I will not hold you to it. But I need to know that you're making the decisions, or the decision here now, to continue this thing or to try and write it out. So I would ask, perhaps for the last time, but certainly one more time, for your counsel, all four of you, my brother, my three closest friends and advisors. You've never led me wrong. Well, my brother has on a few times, but who's counting? He's trying, that's all that matters. I would ask each of you who has known how to counsel me, either in matters of fate, in matters of the spirit, or in matters tactical, or in matters of family, I would ask for your counsel.
Avon turns to Aunulf as if he is supposed to speak first.
The necrophage, this fire child, the armies outside, everything going on feels like a whirlwind of chaos that we are in the middle of. And I hate chaos. I like order. I like things straight and understood and on a path, not necessarily of destruction, but at least of sense. And I feel it is my duty, our duty, to complete this and wrangle this chaos into a manageable solution for us to move forward. So you have my loyalty. I will not leave until I see this through.
But what if there is no order to be made out of this chaos?
I feel that following Ivan's reading and making sense of that will bring a sense of balance and unravel this chaos, at least to me, and hopefully to all of us.
I thank you. You've ever been the one to counsel that I do things the proper way, that I not cut the corners or rob someone blind when I could just because I could. And your counsel has ever stood me good. I value it here, and I don't know that I perhaps fall as much in line as you do with the notions of law. I find some of them a little constricting, perhaps, but
We are just voices to help. I am one of many.
but you're one of the ones that I depend on the most. Thank you.
Avend turns towards Adelhard with a raised eyebrow.
Adelhard is just kind of standing there, probably the farthest out from everyone, because we all kind of know how he feels about the whole cards thing and the whole mystic arts thing. He just doesn't seem to get it. He's kind of standing there back like this, back up against the wall, just kind of looking, and just simply looks over and goes, "Boss," and just nods his head and just stands there. He just doesn't say much. He's just everyone can kind of tell that he's just giving off this air of, you know what? You tell him to go somewhere, he's going to do it. He's just, he's kind of just standing there just like this. He just goes,
Adelhard, you've already given so much to your nation, to your people, to me. None would say that you deserve anything less than some peace and quiet, perhaps, finally. Are you certain you want to do this?
He kind of looks around. He looks over to Avend and Aunulf and over to Jurgen and the rest of the group that's in there. Just kind of laughs and he goes, and steps forward and goes, "Boss, what's peace and quiet? You expect me to go live on a freaking farm somewhere? Come on. I've been doing this for too long to do anything else. You just point me in the direction, I'll start swinging. Either we figure this out or, I catch an arrow or something out there. Either way, it'll be a good time. We'll get done what we need to get done."
I have a feeling we'll run out of metal parts to replace your original parts with long before you ever give up.
He's ready to foot the bill.
Oh. Adelhard just kind of looks over and reaches over and just gives one of these little taps on Aunulf's shoulder and just kind of smacks him upside the head and leans over and goes, "I'm the one that makes the puns."
Thank you, my friend.
Avend stands up, walks towards Aelvig, and just simply nods, and then turns to look at Jurgen, staring at him intently, and says,
You do not believe you are worthy, but fate does not make mistakes.
he reaches out a hand and clutches the young man's shoulder tightly, and then just steps back, and as he's pulling his hand away from his shoulder, he kind of turns Jurgen towards Aelvig.
Say you, little brother.
Starting to miss prison. I've done a lot of things for you and for other people. I haven't made the best decisions in this life, and maybe even the next. And I've not kept many close friends, except maybe the ones that read your fate every now and again and make you question what you've done. But you have come to pull me out of whatever muck and grime that I've happened to trodden through. And I can at least appreciate that, whether I say it out loud or I follow through on deeds that I've promised to you. I do appreciate you, sister. I don't think I have much of a choice either. I mean, when do you get an opportunity where Avend basically says it's you against the world? I don't think we've ever had that.
Avend has said many things, but true, that was an original.
I mean, when his eyes do that thing... Anyway. Whether I like it or not, and whether my companions like it or not, it seems I'm going to be in for another great trip. Whether that's down a memory lane or new memories. It looks like you have my sword.
My friends,
Don't get us killed.
I'll try and watch your back, Aunulf.
this is more than I could have hoped for or deserved, my friends. You've always been faithful, strong companions, and aside from my brother, of course, very seldom, if ever, have you disappointed me. But I think seeing him stand up here today, if nothing else, this entire thing will have been worth it just to hear those words coming out of his mouth. Come here, brother, and she pulls you and gives you a hug. Ligner
As
says,
they are embracing, Avend kind of steps back and looks to each of the people that he came to this keep with, and he says,
Many would take a death sentence without a whimper to escape the life sentence which fate carries in her hand.
as you say that, you feel your deck again move with a tremor, and you know with certainty that someone in this room is going to die very soon.
he doesn't say anything.
Ligner says, well, I'm all tearful, but it's very great that we're all willing to go on this particular quest. But I guess the question is now, where do we go? It's not like we know where the purest vessel is, or it's not like we know how to get out of this keep. And I think we're surrounded by a vast number of angry and heavily armed Orkans. So, anyone have an idea?
Avend will turn and look to the daughter of the marshal.
Don't look at me like that. She has been dealing with the death of her father. She hasn't cried, but she's definitely taken it hard. Says there might be a way out, but I don't know that it would really serve us that well. It's if their armies are surrounding us, we may not actually be able to get behind their lines.
But there is a way.
There is a way. And as this moment is going on, you hear a low moan coming from Living Flame. And for a moment, you can see the flames sort of abate. And you can see the woman underneath a Diablo, who are a dark red skinned people from the desert. You can see the face of the mortal, or the mortal that this person used to be, and it's clear that there's really not much of that left. Most of it has been consumed. And as the face transforms a little bit and you see Nerubi for the first time, she looks down at Leiknir and she says, will you ensure that your man, Cassius, upholds his promise to me to free my mother from the Red Priests? And he said, if Cassius gave his word, he will do it. That man has more to make up for than any of us in this room, all of us put together, and he's hell bent on it. So if he has said he will do this thing. And she says, then I can go in peace. I'm sorry. And as she says that, the skin sort of gets inflamed again, and you can feel the heat start to grow, and you can see the light start to move inside of her, and it's clear that something's happening. You can feel waves of energy and heat just sort of radiate from her. And as this is happening, you hear from outside the ringing of a bell and people yelling, and there's someone banging on the door and that leads to the upstairs. And as you're backing out of the room, because the heat is just sort of growing and become way too intense for you to be anywhere near it, the door upstairs opens and you hear someone yell, Aethelflaed, they have sappers! They have sappers! What do you do?
Adelhard, as the fires are getting more, he basically starts just shoving people out the door to get them out there, grabs the doorknob with his metal hand and pulls the door shut. And then
as you do, the metal, you close it and the metal just has completely melted on the other side, and like you pull it and it trails liquid metal in the air as the thing just finishes melting in your hand.
Well, that'll help keep that door closed at least. And then he just pulls his axe off his back and starts running up the stairs towards what he's hearing them yelling about sappers and everything.
Aunulf.
Aethelflaed's still down here?
Yeah, she's moving on to go up the stairs, though.
So I'm gonna try to keep up with her.
Jurgen.
Jurgen is going to try and stealthily move about to ascertain what, at least if it's in the near future, what exit points are viable. And if he does overhear Aethelflaed tell them of this way out, he'll make mention of his skills to try and potentially scout ahead.
Avend.
Avend follows everyone else as they're moving up, pausing just for a moment to stand next to Aelvig before telling her, or before moving on, I should say, and following Jurgen, trying to stay as close to him as he can. He tells her, how a person masters their fate is more important than what their fate is. And he just kind of nods to her before following Jurgen.
And as you go up, Avend, with Aelvig just hot on your trail, you notice for the first time as Leiknir, the Dvergr, is in front of you, running up. He has a shield and a sword on his back. And when you see the shield and the sword, you've never seen them before, but you get a brief glimpse for a moment. You see a golden flag over a field of battle, thousands of dead. This flag has been planted there, and it appears to be perhaps the flag of the victor. But on this flag is a sun, or the depiction of a sun with a sword hanging down from it. But beneath it, where you would expect to find someone perhaps with the same colors, is a dark figure kneeling. It's impossible to make out details, but this dark figure is kneeling there amidst all this death around it, beneath this flag. And slowly the hand comes up and grabs the flag and pulls it down. And then you snap back to where you are, and you just know that whatever this image is, it was sparked by something about this shield and this sword, but you've never seen them before. All right, everyone, as you run upstairs, I will ask that you give me initiative, and we will just go by initiative just to keep things orderly. If you would, I wanted to say that all of you have an inspiration for Avon's reading earlier, including Avon. You can all add an inspiration to your character sheets.
20 for me for initiative.
14.
18.
18 for me too.
All right, so we'll go to the map of the keep, just to get a sort of sense of who's who and who's where. There are guards and a bunch of people running around. It's not going to be too important as far as a map right now. It's just to sort of get an idea where people go. I would ask that you, if you click, so the only thing you really need to know about Owlbear Rodeo, on the right-hand side, there's a little toolbar there, and you see there's a little hand. Click on the hand, you can then interact with your token. And I would like you to left-click on your token, and when you do, you will find that it opens up a label, and on that label, I would like you to write your initiative just so that I can keep track of it easily. So each of these will represent like a number of guards, just not just one guard. But there's about 30 guards out in this courtyard. All right, so as you rush outside in the courtyard, you come out and you see soldiers sort of running through and through. The storm is super coming down right now. Like one of the worst that you've seen. You can barely see 10 feet ahead of you. There's just this whipping snow and ice that's just like flying everywhere, coming at you. It's dark, it's cold, even though it's the middle of the day at this point. It's like barely afternoon, the noon hour. It's dark as if it was night. And the storm is just battering down, and you can see like shingles on the roofs start to like kind of fly off. Trees are cracking and splitting from the wind and the cold. As you rush outside, you hear guards, the guards that are on the battlement are around, trying to run around back to the battlements around back, yelling something about sappers. And as you come out of the room, you hear explosions start happening in the back of the castle, a series of them. And they seem to be happening like underground. It's not like there's something attacking the walls. While all this was going on, they've been digging under somewhere and they've placed charges. And as these explosions go off, you can see part of the back battlement that's starting to sort of crumble and fall down. At 20, Avon.
Avon is going to very calmly reach down and clutch his spirit deck, and a card materializes from, like he's already placed it in the pouch that it comes in, but a card materializes in his hand as if pulled from the pouch, from inside, and he just glances down briefly before looking over in the direction of Jurgen, and Jurgen feels fate's pull around him and has the benefit of wheel, where you have advantage on all attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws for the next 2 rounds.
And as you do that, Avon, and you go to put your deck back, a card kind of slips out of it, and you catch it just before it falls further to the ground. And when you flip it, you see that it's the daughter, right side up. slip it back into your deck. What would Avon like to do? Would you like to move, or are you happy where you are?
I guess technically, yeah. No, I will just be. I had to move closer to Jurgen, so that's it.
Perfect. At 18, both Adelhard and Aunulf.
Well, seeing as there are explosions and they're obviously attacking, I'm going to again cast Bless. I will do that on my companions.
So something.
And,
Yeah, sorry. Go for it.
and also move again to keep up with Aethelflaed.
Not a problem. Obviously, you realize the map's not really sort of at scale. You can move pretty much wherever you want on it.
Right, wherever she is, I would move up to where she is.
Yeah, all right. So she's sort of in the center here, kind of yelling out orders and, dispatching her guards.
Okay.
As they're on the battlements, it's clear that there's movement outside also that's sort of happening. Adelhard, what would you like to do?
Adelhard, and all these orange circles are bad guys, right?
No, sorry. Those are the house guards.
Oh, those are the house guards. Okay.
Yeah, there are no bad guys currently on the.
Okay, I was sitting here. I'm going to go attack that one. Okay, no, not a problem. So Adelhard is going to run back here, back by kind of back here, and kind of by Jurgen and Adelflaed, and basically just kind of get ready to go, waiting to see about anything. Wait, you said that, was it on the backside here was starting to kind of come down?
Yeah, the wall.
Okay.
The wall back here.
The wall back there. Okay.
The wall back here starting
Yeah.
to fall.
So Adelhard's actually going to. Oh, sorry, didn't mean grab the wrong guy. Sorry.
Okay.
Adelhard's going to kind of run to where he can kind of get an eye back there, because it seems like that's going to be where things are going, and he just kind of gets ready to go. His mechanical arm just kind of seems to kind of like not really spark, but just kind of look like it's kind of getting ready to go. And he's got his axe out, and he's just going to be scanning around, kind of trying to put him on the other side of here. So the four of us are the two of us are kind of protecting the other two in the middle there.
Perfect. As you move there, you do see that through the wall, there are a couple of enemy orc warriors coming through a gap in the wall in the back there.
Okay. About how far away are they? Do you say they are?
They'd be like I said, the map's not super to scale.
Okay.
I would say they're probably like, why do you want to move to them, or?
No. So what I'm going to do, what he's going to do is when he moves there and sees them back there, he's actually going to yell out to Avon and Aunulf and just be, "They're coming in the back!" And he's going to raise his arm up and he's going to shoot magic missile at the bad guys.
Perfect. Go for it.
Just got to do that right here. So that'll be... So, of course, it's a 1, 2, and a 3. So that'll make it a, hold on here, I gotta double check. So a 2, a 3, and a 4. So the 3 darts, if there's 2 guys, then if there are only 2 guys coming up, or was it just like a whole group of guys?
Yeah, you can see there's more behind for sure.
Okay, well, the first guy or 2 that kind of comes up over the wall there, I hit him with those couple darts.
Okay.
Magic missiles just right in the head.
Yep. So your arm sort of fires these things, and kind of recharges as it goes. Catches the first one coming in, he kind of stumbles. The next one sort of already kind of moving around him. These guys, that they're top notch. and you probably, feel a little fear, but not too much, just enough for it to be healthy. At 17, Aelvig has her sword out, and I realized I didn't pull out my fig for Leiknir, but it's not a big deal. We'll say Leiknir is in there somewhere. She will pull her sword out, and she will sort of come around where Aunulf and Aethelflaed are, and she's like, "How can we help? What can we do?" To Aethelflaed, who doesn't answer just yet because it's not her answer. It's not her action just yet. I have my old Leiknir token. There we go. We roll some initiative for Leiknir. Well, slow. All right, and then at 14, Jurgen.
Jurgen's probably gonna call out to Aethelflaed and ask, where is this other path? We need to leave, and see if she responds or if she's just too busy shouting commands.
So she'll, you ask her, she'll shout out a few more commands, start directing her troops and everything, and she'll turn to you. She's like, "How are we going to take that girl with us? There's no way. She's melting the freaking walls and the floor. There's no way we can take her with us. How are we going to bring her with us if we try to escape now?"
Jurgen turns to the closest enemy coming through the door, knocks an arrow on his short bow, and just lets it rip as he's looking. He briefly glances at Leiknir. And he's, like I said, he's been trying to act stealthy since leaving the underground area. So my assumption is he's utilizing stealth, whether you want me to roll for it or not.
Oh, that's fine. That's cool. You've managed to kind of stay hidden, and you can totally surprise the hell out of whoever you want to shoot at.
Okay. So yeah.
You have advantage anyway, so.
So whatever the closest enemy is, he's just gonna shoot him with his short bow.
Yeah, it would be the one that Adelhard hit with his missiles a minute ago.
Okay.
I'll light him up here for you.
So he is going to roll for his short bow, which he has advantage, so he'll roll again. Ugh. Did we get bless earlier?
Yeah.
I think I clearly remember a bless.
Yeah, but it was a while ago. It would be gone by now, and you weren't there.
I just did it on my turn.
Oh, he just did it.
Aunulf did it again on his turn.
Yeah. So you get a D4.
Who did you hit with it?
Well, without the bless, it would have been a 9. With the bless, it's a 13.
With advantage? That's all.
Yeah, it was a bad roll. I got like a 6 and a 9 with advantage. Terrible rolls.
So your arrow just completely sort of misses the mark and shatters on the side of the wall. And Aelvig says, "You'll have to do better than that, little brother."
I'm trying. But luckily I have Skulker, so even if my attack misses, I do not reveal my position, so I am still technically considered hidden.
All right, no problem. So you are all in here. I'll put a little black circle around you to remind yourself. So you're kind of like hiding in the corner there. Awesome. All right. At the turn on their action, a number of them start sort of filing in here into the courtyard. Some of them are climbing the walls. More of them are like battering the door down with magics. A couple more coming out here. So you're really kind of being surrounded something sort of heavy. And we'll take a little, in the movies when the characters all kind of huddle together in the middle of the fight and then have some time to talk. As this is what will happen now, as before we continue with the initiative, Leiknir will approach your group here in the middle and say, "She's right. There's no way we can move Living Flame the way she is. She'll just melt through anything." And I was like, "Well, we can't stay here. We have to do something." Anyone have any bright ideas?
You said she can melt through anything. Can she melt through these assholes?
That's possible. I saw her display such powers, but I don't think she's really in control of it anymore. Did you see her down there? I don't think there's much control left in what she's doing. We'll go back to the top here with Avon at 20.
Avon isn't exactly sure what to do at the moment, but just simply sees the threats around. He wants to say something to the Durgan, but hesitates, and then just shakes his head and turns in the direction of the adversaries that he can see, and hits as many of them as he can with a shatter spell.
All right. Do it.
They all have to make con saving throws, please.
All right, so we'll say that you're hitting these guys here that are pouring in. What's the size of your AoE?
10-foot radius.
Okay, so we'll see you get those 3 guys there that are kind of locked up. One will make it, one fails, and then one fails. 2 failed.
Okay. That's 7 points of damage. I rolled like crap.
All right. And the ones who made it take half?
Yes. Oh, actually, wait. I can twist fate and re-roll that. I'm going to do so.
Re-roll that, my man.
Much better. 15 points of damage.
All right. Good stuff. So these 3 here, we'll take that. What does the spell do exactly? Can you describe what we see?
Yes. So Avon holds up his hand, and you hear just a low tone kind of rumbling in his throat, and then all of a sudden a cloud of thunderous energy erupts in the center of them, and that tone is magnified 100-fold in a burst of auditory power around them all, and they take thunder damage.
All right.
As it just erupts around them.
Nice. Hits all of them. They kind of stumble around, taking the damage. At 18, Adelard and Aunulf.
I'm gonna cast Scorching Ray, same direction.
All right, no problem. Go for it.
So,
Adelard, what will you be doing?
Well, as soon as that Scorching Ray flies past and hits them, he's gonna just run in there and go for the closest one to him and take a swing at him with his axe.
All right.
Two-handed swing at him.
So go for it and roll that. We'll assume that Aunulf is aiming at the other 3, so you can roll that sort of at the same time. Aunulf, what did you get?
Ooh, I have inspiration. That's right.
so 2 of them missed horribly. My dice need to be thrown outside, and the other one was a 18 to hit.
The 18 hits.
So at that one guy there with the battle axe there, I rolled a 14.
Okay. The 14 will hit.
All right, I'm doing it two-handed, so that'll give us a 13 damage.
Nice.
And then I'm going to action surge.
Action surge.
And how's that guy looking? You looking a little hurt, or is he?
He's bloodied. He's bloodied.
Yeah, I'm gonna swing again at him. Ooh, that's a 23 to hit.
Bam.
And just 7 damage on him as Adelhard just lets out this and just hits him the one time really hard and kind of almost like spins around and just hits him with the axe a second time. He's just got that battle face going on to him.
On that second hit, he just crumples around your axe. His armor just completely kind of shattered inside and crumbles to the ground and falls down. And you feel a little strange, I will tell you, because it's been quite some time, if ever, that you've struck down a fellow Orcan, a fellow soldier at least. Like you certainly have had to deal with miscreants and the like. But this probably has a bit of an effect on Edelhard, as he's never really had to fight another Orcan soldier before. So as you see him crumple and die in front of you, you were kind of hit with that realization that this was a soldier just like you.
Yeah.
Aunulf, your damage, please.
10 fire damage as I yell out, "You traitors will burn."
And you burn the hell out of them. 10 damage. That'll bloody them. So all of these already hit by the whiz bam boom of Avon are now also in flames and trying to put that out. And that was at 18. Let us go at 17. That is Aelvig. Aelvig's not much of a fighter, so she will kind of stick around here and just try not to get in the way. At 14.
Still trying to stay in stealth. Jurgen's going to move closer to the middle of the group and position himself within, a foot or two of his close friends and like near.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, here while keeping stealth.
Okay.
And he looks to Lake Near for a brief moment, and he says, "Any ideas for moving her?"
Son, if I had ideas for moving her, we'd be moving her.
With a big huff, he, for his action, takes his short bow, knocks another arrow, looks to one of the ones that was bloodied, and tries to hit him. I know he's got advantage due to the fates. So we'll see if I can do better, sis. Do better. Okay. So that was a 20 without the bless. See if we can do a little bit better. Nope. 20 is going to do it. So 20 to hit. You're muted.
Sorry, I was typing away. Yes, that hits.
All right. Rolling the short bow's damage. That's 8 points of damage. And then do I get sneak attack because I hit him hidden? And I had advantage, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. So then I'll roll 2d6 for sneak attack. So that's 4 points of sneak attack for a grand total of 12. And
12 is enough to finish this one off.
Fantastic.
As your arrow this time flies through, hits him in the throat, and after being thundered and fired, he is now arrowed.
He's having a bad day.
And regrets some of his life choices.
Yeah. And the only thing I can think of, because we're being completely surrounded and I have my cunning action to do, don't know if this will work in our favor, but let's see where the fates take us. I'm going to uncork the bottle of Eversmoke.
All right. So as you uncork that, the smoke starts to spread all around the place. It's becoming difficult to see, but there's very strong winds from the blizzard. So the smoke is kind of having difficulty really keeping hold, but right now it's kind of blocking you from that line of soldiers that were coming in from the back. And as you uncork that and fire off that smoke, all of you can feel a sort of trembling begin as the ground beneath your feet starts to shake. And suddenly there are cracks that start to appear in the ground all around you. And you can see flames start to erupt from the ground beneath your feet, and spreading out from sort of the area a little bit off from where you are, and sort of spreading out, almost kind of like there's like a volcano active or something, and it's about to burst, and you can feel immense heat sort of coming from out of there. And as that's happening, Aethelflaed is like, all right, let's get out of here. This we're all gonna die if we stay here. Follow me. And she starts to run, heading for this little house here in the back, which you have not been in before, but appears to be some sort of shed or some sort of construction like that. It's built of stone and whatnot, but it seems to be like a workhouse or something to that effect. And she's running for that. She's bolting for that full pin. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Following Jurgen, who I assume is heading that direction.
You follow along. That's probably a wise move.
I mean, if we can't take her, they can't, right?
That would be sort of the plan. They can't touch her either. So you follow her, and she'll get into that room, and she'll be like, "Give me a hand, give me a hand." And there's like a massive sort of stone dais in there that looks like it possibly held some sort of perhaps religious kind of thing before, like a lectern of some sort or something like that, but that's kind of been destroyed by time. But as you push it and you move this thing, you uncover beneath it a trap door that she quickly pulls open. And she's like, I have no clue if this is going to save us, but when you hit the bottom, just keep moving, because I don't think that staying anywhere around here is going to be safe. And so you find your way down, as I will sort of narrate this a little bit. You find your way down this rope ladder that goes down fairly deep. And as this is happening, you can feel the waves of heat still coming, and the ground is still shaking. And as you hit the ground downstairs, you're in this man-made tunnel that sort of looks like it leads a little bit north by northeast from here. But you can see already in the far wall cracks that are sort of starting to happen. And all of you come down, and a couple of other soldiers also try to make it down. All you hear after that is just this sound of screaming coming from the top world, and just this intense heat. And you can feel water already start to kind of run down into the place where you are, as the heat that's upstairs is just melting all the ice and the frost, and it's starting to run into the hole where you are, enough that you're starting to worry at some point if there's going to be a problem, but it doesn't really raise very far enough. You spend a few very tense moments huddled down there, just waiting for this thing to sort of pass over you. Some of you will notice that the tunnel sort of continues on a little bit further, perhaps. But you stay there sort of huddled, waiting to see what's going to happen, as all of you have kind of cramped in here after what seems like an eternity, but is probably only a few minutes. There is a last sort of heave as the ground stops shaking, and the heat dramatically starts to drop around you. Leitner says, I don't think that that's a good sign for Living Flame. I'm going to go and check. I'm going to go and see what's happened up there. And he gets up and starts sort of heading for there, and Elvig's like, wait, I'm coming. What are the rest of you doing?
Adelhard, he was probably standing, probably trying to, ever the wall of, protection is probably standing there, puts his hand out to kind of stops them. He goes, let me go first. And kind of forcefully kind of pushes his way in front of Lakefear and them, thinking, if something's happens to come down that, he'd rather be the one who gets hit than anyone else. So he just kind of, not so much like, you should let me go, but more like, you will let me go, sort of thing. Probably a little bit extra pressure on his shoulder, just to be like, I am gonna go first, and has him walk forward. And Adelhard's gonna just kind of walk up there, holding his axe, keeping his eyes open, and heading back up towards the keep.
All right. So I don't know who's going, but those of you who want to stay downstairs, you can stay downstairs. Those of you who go back up will find an eerie silence has sort of overtaken the area. And as you climb up, back into the sort of shed area. The smell of burnt flesh and wood just permeates the entire air. And as you come out, you notice that most of the keep, everything that was wood, has basically just been reduced to cinders, had basically evaporated. The stone is scorched and cracked everywhere. There are charred bodies all around the keep. Now, you don't get the sense that this has expanded very far outside of the keep, but at the center where the well used to be, there's a huge sort of hole where there was a massive eruption that occurred just at the center of that courtyard there. And there's like this flow of almost like lava, but it's clear that it's like not actual lava. It's just like sort of residual fire magic from what was inside the living flame as it sort of moves around. As you come up and sort of see this thing, Aethelflaed will come up behind you and like look in total shock and horror at sort of, you know, what's happened here. And I need to know who's up there. Everyone who has gone up there. Everyone who's gone up there. Make me a Constitution saving throw.
I crit.
Nice.
I'm going to use my inspiration.
Okay.
Can I use bless on this?
Is the bless still active?
That only lasts for a minute.
Oh, well then fine. I got a 14.
14. What did you get, Miko? Sorry.
I rolled twice and both times got an 8.
All right. Jurgen, you got 20, and Aunulf?
21.
All right. So you
I got 22, but I crit, so.
All right, no problem. So with the 14 was Edelhard, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you're okay also, actually. So Miko, sorry, Avend. As you guys get up there and you sort of see all of this, you start hearing a sort of weird kind of keening sound. And as you sort of look up, you see bits of what look like little tongues of flame that are sort of just dropping back to the ground. And as you kind of realize this is happening, these things are coming down kind of like fire hail, just sort of dropping everywhere in the area. And you start to sort of haul back into the room to try and get back out of this sort of hail of fire that's coming down. Avend, you get hit right in the forehead by one of these things, and a lot of you just see this thing, and it hits him, and it goes inside of him instead of like doing damage or sort of bouncing off of him. It hits him, and it sort of disappears as it seems to sink inside of him, and he falls, even falls to the ground, and he lays there unmoving. And at the same time, Aethelflaed also gets hit by one of these things. While the rest of you manage to kind of dodge them, she also gets hit. And the same thing, this flame seems to be absorbed by her body, and the two of them fall to the ground, sort of knocked out. And so as you kind of reach out and grab them and start pulling them in to avoid the rest of these things, they're sort of falling all over. You pull them back into the building and back down into the hole. As you will go down into the tunnel once more, you will keep hearing those things falling, and they will be falling for quite some time as you'll hear the impacts of these things that are coming along. And the other two, both Avent and Aethelflaed, will take some time to sort of come to again. And when they do, they seem a little bit sort of out of it, perhaps at first, not too sure sort of what happened. And both of them, as you see them, both of them appear to have sort of like orange flames burning in the dark pit at the center of their eyes. Or in the case of Avend, who has these very sort of white pale eyes, the entire orb seems to now be glowing with a strange sort of inner light or inner fire that you can sort of see. You don't feel heat or anything like that, but both of them will tell you they feel perfectly normal, and we'll sort of get into that next time. But the last thing that I want to do with you here tonight before we finish, you will walk out through this tunnel trying to escape this hail of fire that's coming down. You will hear soldiers outside just screaming and dying as these flames are sort of hitting them, and obviously having a different effect on them than they had on your companions, as you hear the screams of pain coming from upstairs. And when you eventually emerge a few miles away, perhaps, from where they are, and you turn around and you look below you in the valley at the keep, you will see this firestorm that's still just dropping these pellets of fire. And you can see the armies are sort of moving out and kind of leaving, trying to get away from that area that's just sort of raining flames on them. There's this giant kind of fiery maelstrom that's over where the keep is, that's just swirling these flames and the gouts of fire that just sort of come out of it, almost like some hole has been ripped in space and time into some fiery place or some fiery hell, and these things just kind of drip from it. And as you sort of look at that, Lake Near will say, I don't even know where we are, but we're going to need to find shelter. That night's going to come down pretty soon, and this blizzard doesn't seem to be letting up. And where you're standing, you can, aside from where the fire sort of storm is, you can definitely see the blizzard has just sort of intensified. The snow just sort of whipping at you. And you'll say, does anyone know anywhere around here where we could find some shelter?
Friends, I do know a place. It's about an hour away from here. Hour's walk away, where we can wait out this insanity, this storm. It's ruins of a keep called Blackbirds Perch. A massive battle took place there many, many years ago. And the dead were all buried at the foot of this tower. It's basically a tomb, but I think we should be safe there for a while until this blows over.
Avend will look over at Aunulf as he's saying these things, draw out one of the cards, and pulls out the card of the Raven, nods to Aunulf and says, "Fate has sent us there. Thank you, my friend." And he just reaches over and clasps Aunulf's shoulder, turns back and puts two, and my apologies, I'm horrible with names. What was her name again? The other one that got hit with the fire?
Aethelfled.
Aethelfled will need you now.
And he just starts walking in the direction that Aunulf had indicated.
She seems very kind of just, what the hell is going on? What has just happened? My father, the keep, firestorms, fire in my head, and this weird Orkin who just keeps talking in riddles at me. And on that note, as you will head out into the wilds, the frosty wilds of the crags, we will end here for tonight, and we will pick up as you approach Blackbird's Perch next week on the adventures of Avens and the other less weird folk. I think Avens going to be one for the ages, man. I mean, I'm just looking at you now, and I'm like still freaked out. Anyways, all right.
You told me to be weird.
I didn't tell you to be weird. I just assumed you would be, because you're you, and that's how we love you. Weird, and strange, and creepy. And for our audience out there, he's not cosplaying. This is what Miko actually looks like in real life.
He just came from work.
Yeah, he just came in from work. He works at the Jack in the Box,
The children, yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you had a good time. I love your characters. Awesome play. I thought that you all did a very good job bringing those personalities to the fore, even with the little space that you were. As I always say after the first episode of one of these things, There will be a lot more space now that we've set up everything and we're good to go. There will be a lot more room for you guys to explore your characters in the coming episodes. Hope you had a good time. We'll go around the table one more time just to get a final goodbye from everyone. Give us your names, where people can find you, what you got going on, what type of underwear you prefer, whatever you want to share with us here tonight. And we'll start with Miko again, because why not?
Don't worry, I'm not going to share all of those details. I am Miko. You can find me in the socials at @the_AKS_GM. And come and check out more things that we're doing here at Superior Adventures Guild. I'm producing the Monday Night Mayhem stuff. If you are at all interested in playing or GMing some of our randomness as we explore the multiverse of TTRPGs, please hit me up in our Discords or Twitters or whatnot, and we'll see what we can do about bringing you on board. We're always looking for new people.
We are. Thank you so much, Miko. Great performance. I loved your reading tonight of the tarot card. I thought that was great. Very intense. Of course, the look, as always. Surprised you found a wife with a look like that. But hey, to each his own. I'm
on number 4, remember?
I try to forget that, especially since I'm number 1. Chad.
Hey everyone, Chad, Vampwickman here on socials. Would have had makeup, but currently today my makeup artist is in Orlando, where the hurricane is.
Oh no!
As of now, they're fine. They just can't go to Disney World today because it's closed. So they went to the pool and got drunk. So, I mean, they're safe. They just missed out on a day of Disney World. But
damn it.
That's where my makeup artist
usual Floridian activities.
Right. So. I enjoy doing this, being here. I've been on quite a few streams. I enjoy it. And at this point, I'll say that for those of you that make it to GaryCon in March, I'll see you there. I'll be working that. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 2 sessions and seeing how many of us die.
Well, at least one we know for sure. Even saw it, so we'll see what happens with that. Although theoretically, I guess Living Flame just died, so maybe that's it. Maybe the rest of you are safe.
Did she though?
Sure.
Game of Thrones rules. We did not see a body, therefore is not dead. I've seen enough stuff to know that if you don't see a body.
That's right.
That's right. But thanks Bleak for running this. Lots of fun.
Thank you, Chad, for playing. I've been trying to get back into a game with you for a while. I'm super happy you're in this one, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. I'm sure we will be needing your healing prowess in the days to come.
I'm assuming so.
And just to mix things up, we will start with the Aaron with the long name this time, as opposed to the other one, and we'll keep the young miscreant for last.
Yeah, my name's Aaron Cruz. Find me on Instagram at Complete Diagram Studios. All one word, nice and long. So, yeah, just having a blast here. It's my first stream with you guys, and it's actually my first stream ever.
Oh, really?
If you don't count the couple times I happened to stream on Facebook Live when I was out in my wood shop, pretending that I knew what I was doing. But yeah, having a blast with you guys. Looking forward to seeing what happens and what other kind of mayhem and mischief I can get up to with the guild.
Well, pleasure to have you, Aaron. And you certainly didn't feel like this was your first time. You were in there and you played that character like you'd always done that before. So it was pretty awesome.
Well, thank you.
No problem. And finally, but certainly not least, Aaron, short Aaron, not short Aaron, but short name Aaron. Aaron with just one A. How you doing? What's up?
Don't worry. Been called both.
How do you feel being surrounded by such old men?
The neck beards are apparent, but all in good company, as one would say. I've had a blast. For those of you who want to come find me, right now I only have my Facebook set up, so aaron.stubbs Second stream ever, which was this week. So getting into a little bit of this community. It's been fun. I love tabletop RPGs and haven't gotten a chance to RP in quite some time due to one thing or another. So it's great to kind of stretch my creative legs, bring a new character to life, even though it was on a little bit of short notice, and continue this sort of epic or saga that Bleakseason has graciously let me be a part of. And I'm greatly looking forward to what happens the next 2 sessions on this adventure that we've all seemed to have been thrust into, whether we wanted to or not. Fate
waits for no Orkin. Thank you for stepping in exactly at the last minute. I truly appreciate it. And super great to have you here. So yes, thank you very much, all of you guys. You were all awesome. I look forward to seeing you again next week, doing this again. Big shout out to our producer, Andy, who repositions the map whenever I put it somewhere that makes no sense within the camera's frame, and has been out there putting some music out and doing a bunch of stuff for us. As Miko said, we got tons of stuff going on. Monday Night Mayhem. I believe we have Ashley GMing her Oops All Kobolds going on. We have the Sunday nights Blade Runner. We have the Tuesday night Greyhawk. And of course, Friday afternoons here with Shadesong. So much stuff. I'm the Bleakseason. You can find me at the Bleakseason on Twitter. If you're interested in finding out a bit more about the world of Shadesong, check out my live journal, not my live journal, my journal about the living world at bleakseason.com. Thank you to everyone who watched, and we'll see you next time.